Yeah, yeah. What up, Lan? Yeah.
What we doing?
Midday conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in, the world's greatest. Broadcasting live and they love it, but don't judge it.
Got it off the block, giving it back.
Midday conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in, the world's greatest. Broadcasting live and they love it, but don't judge us. Damn. Got it off the block, forming a dynasty from a rock. Laid back in the cut, press play, can't get enough. Yo, let's chop it up in every location. A bit of conversation, opportunity keep knocking like child support payments. Started from the bottom like baseless, now we famous. Podcast official, the topic will probably hit you from a distance like a pistol. Subscribe so you can listen to survival of the fittest. We talking it how we living it, rolling like a dealership, managing several businesses. T-shirts, podcast, no you don't need a membership. Just follow us on YouTube, knowledge supreme, infinite. Chicago got a different excited, let's talk about it. Going live, check your notifications so you can holler. Or leaving in the comments, debate it, just being honest. Chicago topics, roll wild cues, we supersonic. Big gang is conquer, circle back round like every week. Tell a friend off the block, it's where we meet. Midday conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in, the world's greatest. Broadcasting live and they love it, but don't judge us. Got it off the block, giving it back to hood lovers. Midday conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in, the world's greatest. Broadcasting live and they love it, but don't judge us. Got it off the block, giving it back. Come on. The hood lovers, got it off the block, giving it back. The hood lovers, broadcasting live. Off the block, giving it back. Midday conversation off the block, giving it back. Midday conversation off the block, giving it back. Midday conversation off the block, giving it back.
Yo, what's happening, everybody? What's going on, man? Welcome to the Midday Convo. I know y'all used to your boy going live at night, but I decided to come on, man, and talk to the people, man. I got a video, man, about P. Diddy and Tupac, so I want to, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to do two things, you know what I'm saying? And don't forget to make sure y'all tap in and tune in later on tonight for Manly Man Day. But let's start the show before I get to explain them. Then let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. Once again, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. And lastly, family, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. That's people we come in contact with on a daily basis, people we're cordial with, our families, our extended families, and more especially, our family right here on this channel. Secondly, don't forget to master these 5 key components of life. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. Again, that's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And lastly, family, once again, that's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And don't forget the most important part about all of this. That's that component, that glue that holds everything together. That's that support. So don't forget to E40 that thing, man, and sprinkle a little support on top. Because a little support go a long, 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 long way, y'all. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, man? I got my blood in the building. What's going on, blood? What it do? What it do? Miss CC, what's going on? What's going on? Tehran, what's going on? How you feeling? How you feeling? Before I get into these videos, man, I gotta do this. We got to do this. We must do this. So the thoughts, views, and opinions of Bearded Conversations are the thoughts, views, and opinions of me right now. The thoughts, views, and opinions. Are the thoughts, views, and opinions of me right now. I don't mean to hurt, to harm, or to offend. Once again, I don't mean to hurt, to harm, or to offend. This video stream is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. Once again, this video stream is for informational, educational, and edutainment purposes only, with the underlying and undertone on edutainment. Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? So, again, please do not take any advice given or anything shown on this video stream for face value without consulting the proper professional that suits your specific needs. Please do your due diligence. Please do your proper vet work and research. And like I always say, don't forget to get that second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth opinion. Because we don't want you going out here robbing no banks, starting no revolts, telling your boss what he or she can take, how they can turn it sideways, and where to put it, y'all. Now, that we got that out the way, hey, man, real quick, man, big shout out to all my Leos out there, man. Leo gangs in the building, man. My youngin' just turned 6 yesterday, and my twins are 20 today. Happy birthday, Jeremiah and Joshua. Happy birthday to my twins. Happy birthday to my little one, AJ. Happy birthday. I love y'all. everybody showed up, showed out yesterday. You feel me? For my baby birthday, you know what I'm saying? With the twins, you know, they 20, so you feel me? We ain't doing no cake, ice cream party or nothing for them. I don't know what they gonna get into. You feel me? I gotta, you know what I'm saying, check them out, see what's going on, see what they got planned for the day, whatever, whatever. But yeah, but happy birthday to my twins, happy birthday to my 6 year old. Man, and happy birthday to all the Leos. DJ Grays, as you know, I think you said your birthday was on the 5th. Happy birthday to you, my boy. Like I say, man, happy belated to all my Leos, man. Happy belated to all my Leos, man. Leo gang, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? Hashtag Leo gang. Hashtag Leos are the best. Hashtag the best astrological sign. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? And the vote. You know what I'm talking about? I don't give a fuck what y'all talking about, what y'all saying, what you is. You feel me? Leos are the business. And also, you feel me? All your world leaders are Leos. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Hey, well, I don't know. Wait a minute. I might have to dial that back because she'd be messed up. Nah, man. But yeah, man. So yeah. Happy birthday to my boys, man. Also, man, big shout out to my co-host who ain't never in the building. L Boogie Roscoe P and my little one AJ, my co-host with the mostest. I love you, son. Twins, I love you as well. Big shout out to Jeremiah and Joshua, man. You feel me? But yeah, man, I want to get into this Diddy, man. You know, they saying he might be getting out of jail a little bit earlier. And he just went back to the hole. I was watching Nancy Grace, you feel me? And so I want to get into this Nancy Grace, you know what I'm saying, real quick with the with the P. Diddy thing, and then I want to get into the excuse me, I think it was the first day. Today was the first day, and I think it was like a jury selection for the trial of Tupac's murder. So we want to get into that, man, and dive into that, man. I know everybody, you know what I'm saying, we've been in uproar about the Nolan Wells case and situation. And there's also been some new evidence coming out about that as well. But I don't want to, yeah, well, I do want to oversaturate and overpopulate, you know what I'm saying, my streams with it because I want people to wake up and realize what's going on. Just like the young lady who was also hung from a tree. Now, she wasn't high up in the tree. This looked like somebody, you know what, I don't, man, it's wild, man. It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. It's wild, man. We have to wake up. You know, if you're going to accept being a minority, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? You need to protect your minorityism. You feel me? That's just how. Look, but anyway, man, let's get into this video. I don't want because if I get into that, man, I don't want to get too far off. You know what I'm saying? And too in depth. Um, you know, into that conversation. We'll say that for a little bit later on tonight, man, while I have an open panel. And if anybody want to come up and give their, you know what I'm saying, opinions and ideas, you know what I'm saying, about it. Oh well. Also, man, be noted as this, man. Nothing is listen, because I get a lot of people in the chat be, oh man, this is racist, it's racist, this you get mad at da. How the fuck do y'all get mad when y'all come in and y'all say the most outlandish shit? Y'all say the most outlandish things in the chat. This is freaking believable how people think. You know what I'm saying? And then you got your brothers or your sisters that's rocking with them. You know what? Let's get into this video, man, because I don't even want to get off into that, man. That should be, it'd be crazy, man. Thanks, Monk. You know what I'm saying? My blood up, man. Love you. Thank you for the happy B-Day wishes. Miss Cece, thank you for the happy B-Day wishes. Let's get into this content. Let's go.
Nancy Grace, this is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
Hey, Blooder. Actually, I am. You know what I'm saying? I most definitely, I most definitely am. I most definitely am. You know what I'm saying? I never said I wasn't. Let's go, man. Let's see what Nancy found out.
Sean Combs apparently refusing jail food. Now over 100 assault victims have been.
Hey, real quick, I don't even know why the fuck she said that because I'm refusing the food too. That's horrible.
Vetted at the hands of Sean Combs. The beatings, the bruises. All I thought about was candy. You know what? I can barely open this Tootsie Roll midgie. You know, suddenly I've lost my appetite, Sean Combs, and I think it's because of you.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom. But I'm
Hey, real shit, blood, everything better than the feds, they say, you feel me? Everything better than the feds, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But we don't know, man. Listen, you feel me? We don't know what the feds giving you now, you know what I'm saying?
make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy. I'm going to rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace.
You're disgusted. I'm disgusted too. I'm disgusted that even though you're back in the hole, solitary at Fort Dix again, that you're still getting out early. Why? What am I supposed to tell all of your crime victims and all your alleged crime victims lined up suing you civilly? You're getting out early, even though you've landed back in the hole at Fort Dix. This, as Sean Puffy Combs, aka Diddy, is planning a comeback. You heard me, a comeback. Who is going to his concert? Satan? Beelzebub? Tot Mom? A lot happening tonight. Diddy in solitary, Diddy making a comeback. Diddy's release date somehow moved up seemingly overnight. He got another month added on to his jail time. He's still getting out early. And this as seemingly Tupac Shakur, may God rest that man's soul, he's reaching back from beyond the grave. Is he going to point the finger at Diddy? Joining me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know straight out to Tisa Tales, who covered the trial from the get-go, investigator, commentator, host of Tisa Tales on YouTube. Tisa, what is the hole at Fort Dix?
The hole in Fort Dix is solitary confinement, but unfortunately, it's not like we see in the movies. He does have access to his lawyers, and he is allowed for people to come and visit him. I think it's restricted to an hour. The story behind the solitary confinement is sources are saying Diddy is wearing this as a badge of honor. He started that fight for his ego to kind of show who was top dog. And now that he is solitary confinement, they are saying he is bragging about it and he is proud of it, which is so odd considering it literally lost him 27 days of precious time away from his family and kids that he claims to care so much about.
Solitary confinement is a form of imprisonment, a person kept alone in a smaller cell, 22 to 24 hours a day with little to no human contact. This is at Fort Dix. Why did this happen to Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter? Dave Mack, because he got in a fight. He got in a fight behind bars. According to sources, when asked who won, we were told he held his own. Translation, Diddy got a booty beaten. How you like it now, Diddy? After you beat all those women, we saw the bruises. Okay, Dave Mack, what happened? Who gave Diddy a booty beating?
You know, they're not giving us the names or anything like that because they're all behind bars. But, Nancy, this was a shoving match that escalated because it's Diddy. Now, they say Diddy felt like he was being dissed by this other inmate. What was said, I don't know, but I do know this, that the imprisonment at FCI Fort Dix is kind of like, I don't know, in-school suspension. This is prison at the lowest form. So he ends up in this so-called fight. He gets his butt whipped by another inmate. And then they separate them and send Diddy to solitary. But Nancy, look, solitary that you and I think about is not what's happening here at Fort Dix. It's the best of the best. You realize that in solitary at Fort Dix that you can actually sometimes have a cellie. They put you in a cell by yourself, but hey, we might have to put you in there with a roommate. I mean, it's just crazy. So basically he gets, some time away from the crowd.
Wait a minute. He's getting blankets, a mattress, pillow, toilet paper, shaving tools, legal and religious materials. Whoa, wait. Dr. Dwayne Hendricks joining us, former Associate Warden, MDC Brooklyn, former Senior Warden, U.S. Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Prisons, 30 years in the can, so to speak. And he's the author of Who Are You? See It, Say It, Seize It. And he's the president of A New Daylight Foundation. Now, that is the jewel in your crown, Dr. Hendricks, the New Daylight Foundation, and of course your children. Dr. Dwayne Hendricks, do you mean to tell me that after
My bad. I meant to pause that, y'all. Hey, Nancy is what? Not Booty B. What the fuck is she on, man? What is Nancy on with Diddy, man?
Sean Combs has put all these women through, and men reportedly, solitary
what's going on?
confinement
What
is
up?
more like, let's see, what do you have at school when you're naughty?
Peter got a dragon. What's going
your
on?
skirt is too short. Detention. That's what it is. Religious materials, toilet paper, shaving materials. What's next? Champagne and caviar?
No. And currently he's in administrative detention. All those things,
Shroud,
you just
what up,
know
G?
that he does have access.
Wait, hold on, wait. I'm sorry. Did I hear administrative detention? The hole at Fort Dix is actually detention hall, like where you can't chew gum? Really? Are you serious?
No, he's actually in his cell 23 hours a day. He does not have access to just getting up and leaving the cell, going to recreation, going to his job. So it's almost, so to speak, like having cabin fever, you know. So basically,
I don't know, Monk. You feel me? Like, I ain't gonna even lie. Don't get me wrong. Some motherfuckers in there, you know what I'm saying? They don't like certain things, right? So, yeah, I see what you're saying. You're surprised he ain't getting shanked. But I'm not really surprised. You feel me? Like, you know, he got a little money, still got a little paper, still got a little power, still got a little authority. So, with that being said, you know what I'm saying? If anything, you know, I mean, shit, like, he'll be a valuable resource in there. So, shit, I wouldn't be shanking him. I'd be trying to use and extort the man. I'm just saying.
basically, he'll be in his cell pending the outcome of this investigation. I can tell you the agency, you know, tries not to have inmates behind
share me out, Charles.
in
Share
special
me out.
housing,
Share me out.
you know, for a long period of time, unless it is absolutely necessary for safety and security of the institution. So this fight occurred about 2 weeks ago. So I can tell you they'll probably have this investigation wrapped up within the next week or so. You normally would give staff about 21 days to do these investigations. And then they'll turn their findings over to the disciplinary hearing officer, who will make the final determination on whether he'll lose any good time that he's earned, or whether he'll lose privileges such as visiting, loss of job, or commissary, or some additional sanctions, depending on the outcome of the investigation. Additionally, he may be separated from the other inmate that he had this altercation with, and depending on who the perpetrator was, that individual may or may not be transferred away from FCI Fort Dix.
Okay, let me talk to somebody that has been at solitary. Daryl Cohen is joining us, high-profile defense attorney out of the Atlanta jurisdiction. He's a former felony prosecutor with me. You can find him on Facebook at Daryl B, as in brother, Cohen. What solitary? I don't like the airbrushed version. Wait, he may be telling the truth, actually, that Dwayne Hendricks is giving me. What is solitary? Because it doesn't sound bad at all.
Nancy, they're different solitary. And at Fort Dix, solitary seems to be very social solitary. Other places, solitary is you're by yourself for 22, 23 hours a day. You do not have visitors. You have some literature that you can read, but you certainly aren't having the wonderful social time of your life. Here, it appears that Sean Puff Daddy Combs has the best of the best. And is he being treated as a celebrity because of who he is? Or is it really the norm at Fort Dix? It's hard to say, but it's not a bad facility.
We've gone back and forth on his release.
So listen, I ain't never been to the fish joint, but I mean, come on, man, you a star. You feel me? Like, you know, it's supposed to be punishment, so of course you feel me. You know what I'm saying? I'm still thinking that they gonna punish you, but if you a celebrity or some shit like that, and it ain't supposed, you know, everything's supposed to be on equal playing field, you know, they probably favor some motherfuckers a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? And even with the inmates, you feel me? Like, you get in there, you feel me? Like, if you was, you know what I'm saying, and somebody, a motherfucker, you know what I'm saying, out here looked up to or fuck with or something like that, when you get in there, they might not push up on you, or, you know what I'm saying, they might not extort you, or they might protect you, but you never know. Then you got motherfuckers who won't give a fuck about none of that. You know what I'm saying? So the treatment part is up to discretion, even though it shouldn't be, but we human, so everything is flawed.
State, his sentence has been cut.
Is it me? Do this motherfucker look like Harrison Ford too? I thought
Cut after this last altercation, as you guys are calling it. It's basically a fight, and word is, Diddy got a booty beating. That said, 1 month has been added to his already reduced time. There you go. He got another slap on the wrist. I wonder how all the crime victims, victims feel about that. Tisa tells, how many times do we know of, anyway, that Sean Combs has broken the rules behind bars? The big man that's used to telling everybody else what to do seemingly can't follow the rules.
Interesting enough, there are 3 times. The first time, something was illegal.
Hey man, don't nobody in the joint follow the rules. Stop it.
Well, I'll just say it, with toilet wine in the Fort Dix.
Maintenance fee, overdraft fee, minimum balance fee, maximum balance fee.
Banking fees are just my bad.
That just kind of rolled off your tongue. You said toilet wine. It's Pruno. So Diddy's making booze and getting a snoot full behind bars, I think is what you're trying to say. Go ahead.
Yeah. So somebody was making booze and Diddy got a few cups of that and he was caught. Okay. That was the first infraction. While that happened, there was another scandal going on where Diddy was making 3.
Yeah, so that's the hooch, man. Everybody do that shit. And hey, listen, man, listen. You feel me? Like, you know, because you ain't supposed to have nothing, you know what I'm saying? Nothing like nothing really, you feel me, from the outside world. And we know all type of shit get in. But you know what I'm saying? The hooch they make, man, you know what I'm saying? And they want to get fucked up, just like, you feel me? So, you know, they got all type of shit, you feel me, that they got going on in there, man, that, you know what I'm saying? That they can do, you know what I'm saying? Or that they can make, you feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these motherfuckers locked up, man. Motherfucker be, man, everybody ain't slow. You feel me? Motherfuckers just made wrong choices and decisions. And sometimes, like I said on a previous show, all of that shit be hard to come back from, man. You gotta know what you're doing and what you said. But yeah, but back to the hooch though, man. Shit, as long as he ain't telling no motherfucker, you feel me? And then, man, you gotta drink that shit up. You feel me? You can't be, man. You know what I'm saying? It take a lot to hide that shit.
3-way calls, which are illegal. You're only allowed to call one person. He was making 3-way calls while he was in Fort Dix. And
hey, man, and that shit too, man. I don't rock with that shit, man. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. If a motherfucker call you, yeah, they gonna tell me, call this person so I can talk to this person and call that person. Now, what I don't like is when no motherfuckers have me calling motherfuckers, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? That ain't got shit to do with shit. Now, if you're gonna have me calling the motherfuckers, man, at least I need to be calling a shaker, a family member, or something that's gonna get, you know what I'm saying, to help. You feel me? Now, if you doing that first, later on, I don't mind calling a broad, or I don't mind calling one of the homies or some shit like that. You feel me? But I don't see nothing wrong with that, man. Like, I don't give a fuck about no 3-way calling, man. I don't see nothing wrong with that. And then it ain't like they don't know. Them fucking calls is recorded, bro. Like, if it was a real fucking problem, just hang up the phone when y'all know they doing that shit.
in the 3-way calls, he was asking someone who he first claimed was his legal team, and then they said, no, they keep us out of it.
Yeah,
but
she
he was
was wild for
talking
that,
to
brother.
a woman who he told to bring unmarked bills, I think 200 unmarked bills in a paper bag to Fort Dix. Again, sounds shady and illegal to me. Now, he got slaps on the hand for that, but now we literally escalate to the prison fight. And my sources in Fort Dix says
Hold on, man. If that's his money, man, he can do whatever the fuck he want to do with his money. Ain't no law against him saying that he can't have no money in jail. You feel me? You know what I'm saying?
Even the prison fight was caused by Diddy breaking the rules. There's no smoking in prison, supposed to be. Diddy was smoking but they sneak. Diddy was smoking in an enclosed area. That enclosed area and smoking caused the guards to crack down and to do a raid for contraband. In the raid for contraband,
See, and there's some bullshit too. So, like, if this is true, and all this shit happened, and again, I don't want to say it's the truth, and you feel me? You know what I'm saying? This is just, you know what I'm saying, me coming to my own understanding. I'm not going to say conclusions, anything like that, but like this sound like a motherfucker baited Diddy, and because Diddy ain't no jail dude. He ain't been in no jail. Diddy don't know nothing about being in jail. I mean, he in a fit now, but you don't know nothing about that, man. You know somebody baited him to do some goof ass shit. Now, I don't know if this was and this could be the plot or the ploy. Could this be for them to trick him to do some shit like that so he can get, you know what I'm saying, everybody shook down and locked down so a motherfucker can do something to him and so somebody can get at him? You feel me? So, which will guarantee that he won't make it out because he's getting this early release. Like, and listen, now, I know it might sound conspiratorial and always go to conspiracy theories or whatever the case may be and shit like that, but because Diddy did so much fucked up foul shit, listen, and I'm not saying he did fucked up foul shit, but this is what the alleged allegations or, you know what I'm saying, what other people are saying. You feel me? That he did so much fucked up, you know what I'm saying, foul shit. Like, you feel me? We can't let this shit ride. Something gotta happen. Like, he getting off too easy. You feel me? And as far as his sexual exploits, listen, that's that man's business. Whatever. Now, when we get to talking about just taking things, and then it's hard to say he was taking anything from any man or any woman when I think cognitively and that they understood what was going on and they knew what was going on and they knew, man, come on, man, like, man, look, man, just like the music producer, come on, man, bro, you woke up, come on, bro, stop it.
Inmate he was fighting with, his phone was actually seized. After that raid, the man went to Diddy and said, "What the hell is going on?" And that's how this fight actually ensued. Again, infraction on infraction on infraction. And if the reports are true,
my bad, I did say somebody could have tricked him into it, or it could have been Diddy just being Diddy, being cocky. You feel me? Doing that shit that's out here and there, because again, like I say, he ain't no jail dude. He don't know how to woo off the bell. He thinking his name gonna hold weight. And I wouldn't even be thinking that neither, because after the shit that hurt and I came out, you feel me? I'm finna be looking at him like some type of punk. You feel? I'm just saying, if I had that type of mentality, and I'm not saying me personally, but if I had that type of mentality, I'm looking at Diddy like Diddy some type of punk, poop butt ass motherfucker. You feel me? Like, bro, you wiping semen on your man, bro, ain't nobody, like, you know what I'm saying? Motherfucker gonna give you the business. You feel me? So I don't think it was a situation of him being cocky, because I don't know if motherfuckers in there, like, man, a lot of motherfuckers I know don't rock with that. You feel me? So, yeah. Yeah, I kind of think a motherfucker like, man, you can smoke that, whop the bell. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. Ain't nobody gonna fuck
about
with you.
why the fight started, it does show a pattern that Diddy can't find the rules. I know it's 21 days for the investigation to be completed. They automatically added 30 days onto his sentence because, hello, there needs to be some type of punishment. But Diddy seems to be really, really worried, and his lawyers are rumored to be gearing up to challenge the fact that he might be kicked out of this program that is fast tracking him out as a result of the fight. And if he is kicked out, then all the good time he's earned will be clawed back. Now, of course, his lawyers are gearing up for a legal challenge. Nobody knows if he'll be kicked out of the program, but there is a chance that he's facing very serious consequences, depending on the severity of the fight, the injuries, and what their investigation actually holds.
I'm so sorry.
Hey, I think this shit was one of the phoniest fucking, bro. This shit, you know what? So I tried to watch it, y'all. Listen, no bullshit. Like when this shit came, I tried to watch, and I'm, first thing that came to my mind, oh, he doing this shit because he woo off the bed, right? I tried to watch this shit, and I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I tried to watch this shit and really, you feel me? Man, I laughed through this whole motherfucking thing. Boy, this shit so.
But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
Oh, was that Diddy again begging for forgiveness? Again? Oh, Diddy, at it again. Okay, is it true, Dave Mack, that Sean Combs, in another attempt to job the system, beat justice, to shave time off of his sentence, which he did, he went into prison rehab? That's a yes, no. Did Diddy go into prison rehab?
Yes, he did.
That was 3 words. Okay, Dr. Dwayne Hendricks, does anybody at Fort Dix know their rear end from a hole in the ground? They don't know that Sean Combs has no intention of going to rehab, of working on himself, of becoming a better version of himself. That's crap. Okay? Because when you don't know a horse, look at his track record. He's actually appealing his conviction, saying his homemade is free speech. Does that sound like someone trying to better themselves? Because it doesn't to me. So he joins rehab and he gets time shaved off his sentence. He's using the people at Fort Dix and they're letting it happen. Hence my question, do they know their ass from a hole in the ground? Not rhetorical. I really want to know. They don't see what's happening?
Well, they gave him an opportunity. They basically gave him a layup to try to find reform within himself. He's working in the chapel, which is next to the education building, which houses most of those.
I'm sorry, I just choked again. Sean Combs is working in the chapel?
Yes, he's working in the chapel, which puts him in proximity to the education.
For y'all that don't know, so before he got locked up, you feel me? This was something that he said that he was trying to, you know what I'm saying? What is his father love, daddy love, some shit like that. But he was trying to get into this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? I remember I seen the interview, and I remember him saying that. So I mean, it ain't far fetched if you follow Diddy.
Building, so he can take those first step at credit courses, so he can earn up to 10 days off for every 30 days that he completes these courses. And I think that's why his release date has been dropping, several months since he's arrived. So, and if what Tisa is reporting in terms of him creating what we call a hot environment in those units.
Yeah, and I feel you, bro. Yeah. Like my brother said, he making it hotter than, you know what I'm saying? That's real shit. Motherfucker. So, and I'm gonna tell you something, man. It ain't just Diddy, man. Motherfuckers gonna come in jail, bro. You feel me? Especially these young motherfuckers on the new, you feel me? They get up in there, man. You know what I'm saying? They really ain't ready to abide by laws and policies, rules, and regulations and shit. You feel me? And they going against the grain and they thinking it's something, you know what I'm saying, that it ain't. You know what I'm saying? Listen, jail, prison, you know what I'm saying? The Fed politics is different from the street, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? You got to, you know what I'm saying, fall in line or you know what I'm saying, suffer for certain repercussions, consequences when you ain't trying to, you know what I'm saying, do what you need to do. Now, again, like, I don't want to say that he making it hot in there, you feel me, versus, him not knowing the type of politics. I mean, but he been in there long enough to know these politics. Again, I don't know the timeline of when all these different things happen. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they happened when he first got in there, if they happened, you know what I'm saying, into his stint, or some of these things just happened because they ain't giving us no dates. But like if a few of these things happened when he first got in there, you know what I'm saying, a lot of times that shit can be excusable. Feel me? From the three-way call, come on, man, everybody do three-way calling, so that's bullshit. Getting caught with the hooch, a lot of motherfuckers get caught with shit they ain't supposed to have. So fact of the matter is you ain't supposed to have it. But I get you burning the spot, burning the tip. This how you supposed to cover yourself, yada, yada, yada. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers give you You know what I'm saying? The low downs and the high downs, how to get by if you're gonna be in that motherfucker. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Then, especially if you Diddy, but then motherfucker be like, oh man, that's Diddy. And then a lot of motherfuckers might be thinking, oh, that's Diddy, man. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? He ain't gonna get caught long, so he don't snitch on the motherfucker who got it. Woo, woo, woo. You know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure Diddy ain't coming out his mouth talking about some I made the shit. You feel me? So of us gotta get shit down for it. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. That's how it is.
It makes sense that he got into this altercation because, again, when one person creates an atmosphere that creates issues for other inmates who have cell phones, drugs, alcohol, and all these other things, then obviously there's going to be an altercation. So if all of this is true, he is the biggest screw up in inmate history. I mean, they gave him a layup to go to Fort Dix. He didn't have to get on a flight across the country like most other inmates have to do.
Danny Pointer, for a guy that's used to flying on his own private jet.
Another thing, man, because I ain't trying to make no excuses too. So let's say this, like Diddy going to jail versus a fucking JFK, Bill Gates, Epstein, a Donald Trump, or somebody like that, you know what I'm saying, going to jail. Like 9 times out of 10, motherfuckers in jail don't even know who the fuck they is. I'm gonna keep it 100. A lot of people do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it like that, but a lot of men don't even know who the fuck them people is. You feel me? And maybe I gave some wrong examples, but shit, Charlie Kirk, for example, I don't even know who the fuck he was. You feel me? And I stay on top of every fucking thing. Yeah, but you can miss some shit. But everybody know who Diddy is. You feel me? Everybody know who Diddy is. So, but I want to say, I'm only saying that to say, like, even if you ain't been, in some cases, you supposed to already know how shit go and how to move and how to do what you do. You feel me? So it ain't that fucking hard. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that have been to jail. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? And we see this shit, and I'm sorry to say that it's part of the culture, it's part of the, you feel me, that we carry as a melanated individual, as melanated people. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna say, well, that's what we know because that's what's purported to the news. That's what we see. That's what's in the media. That's the narrative that's being pushed. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? That we the savages and barbarians and the motherfuckers that don't want to act and all that goof ass shit. You feel me? But again, I want to implore and I want people to understand and know that if you're the minority, of course that's what's going to be reported. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't think that the majority do way more than the fucking minority? That's insane for a person to think like that, right? We got to listen now, and I don't never hear nobody say this shit. We got to understand. Yeah, they reporting on the minority, and I don't consider myself a minority, but we're gonna let it slide and just, you feel me, be politically correct for this, for the sake of this. You feel me? So they call us the minority, right? And they report all the bullshit and all the bad things that happen within the minority group. But guess what? That's small on the scale compared to who the majority is, right? And y'all ain't never wondered why we don't see what the majority fucking do. So you really? So you gonna sit here and tell me that the majority don't do shit? The fuck out of here, man. You gotta open your eyes, man. We got to understand that it's, you know what I'm saying? That at times, man, shit is the way it is. And I don't want to say it because it's supposed to be like that, but a lot of times, we help coast it along. And sometimes, I don't think we really understand the rhetoric of the situations. You feel me? I really think, we let them give it to us and we don't try to understand. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, real shit.
I guess this is sort of a punishment, but you know what, Danny is the chief legal officer at the National Center on Exploitation. Just hold that thought for a moment. Exploitation. What is?
Hold on, and mind you, real quick, I ain't trying to excuse the shit that he doing. That ain't what I'm doing.
That is other victims that are weaker than individuals like Sean Combs, that are not as powerful, wealthy, or cunning than people like Sean Combs. I remember the testimony. I remember the pictures of these women that came in front of a jury and told them they were beaten, threatened, coerced by Sean Combs. All right. So while I am making light of the lax punishment behind Fort Dix, let's don't lose sight of what Combs is accused of doing. Yes, I know he walked on several of those charges, but I remember the testimony. Even though the jury was starstruck by Sean Combs, I'm not. Danny Pinter, thank you for being with us from the National Center on Exploitation. All joking aside, it makes me sick. It makes me sick to see justice turned on its ear. And his big punishment is that he's in detention, working in the chapel, getting 3 hots in a cot, sneaking booze, cell phones, allegedly drugs behind bars. And you know what this fight was over, Danny? I'm telling you right now. He, like Dr. Hendricks said, has access to all this stuff that other inmates don't. Somebody said something to him to, in his mind, diss him, disrespect him, and they get in a fight. That's what happened. And the big man got a booty beaten to boot. All right. How do you think all these attack victims feel when they hear of his cushy life behind bars and his early release date?
It's just another slap in the face to the victims, which has been a highlight of this entire case. And Sean Combs is willing to do anything except take accountability, which we see. And like most predators, it's all about ego. It sounds like a lot of special treatment for this celebrity to me, because as we've heard today, it's not exactly been good behavior that he's been exhibiting in prison. Yeah.
And another thing, like, how the fuck, why is, like, trust me, listen, if those motherfuckers in there, bro, you feel me? I ain't rocking with what Diddy doing. Trust me, man, motherfucker gonna deal with Diddy in there. You feel me? It ain't like he just in that motherfucker, you feel me? Just in that motherfucker. Like, if motherfuckers ain't really rocking, man, and you know what I'm talking about? And the shit that he got going on ain't really, you feel me? Like, yeah, motherfucker gonna get down on him. You know what I'm saying? That's real shit, bro. That's real shit. We gonna keep it 100. Let's keep it 100, bro. I just seen shit go up for less. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man. This one, y'all, I don't know, y'all.
We keep seeing that prison sentence go down and down and down. So truly, this is a slap in the face to victims.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. If you are a homeowner, you probably thought, should I call American Financial?
And then she keeps saying victims. You feel me? Like, a lot of these motherfuckers, man, you know, listen, and I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. We gonna keep it 100, man. A lot of them motherfuckers, man, I was in them cases, in them trials. A lot of them motherfuckers was willing participants. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Whether they got paid or not, a lot of them motherfuckers was willing to participants, bro. I didn't see no real means of force by anybody involved in any of the dealings, man, that they tried to put on that man. You feel me? So for y'all to say that, and listen, again, I'm not taking up for the motherfucker, bro. But for y'all to say that this motherfucker is such a monster, what about the other fucking people that were involved? Now, if he got out on a motherfucker they ain't knowing and they slapped him with a few, you feel me? But bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all, man. I got to keep it a bean, y'all. We really got to keep it a bean, y'all. I think a lot of them motherfuckers knew what was going on, bro. You feel me? And still want to participate. Now, don't get me wrong. You got some that slipped through the cracks, some that might came with a motherfucker and they really ain't into the scene and they don't really know what's going on type shit. I give you that. You feel me? Them people. But, bro, for the most part, bro, everybody that was in that bitch, bro, they knew what was going on and they knew what was happening, man. You feel me? Come on, man. Like, let's keep it 100.
Yes, National Center on Exploitation. People often ask me, why are you so angry? Why aren't you smiling? I have represented in court women and minorities my whole legal career. And I've seen what trafficking does to a young girl, to a woman.
Hey, listen, I am against trafficking against any human. You feel me? So you know, I can agree and empathize with that. But you see the way she put the voice on? Hey man, you see how she changed the tone and the direction and the pitch and the clarity of the words that's being spoken during the broadcast now when she has so much high energy. Let's go, Nancy.
They're never the same. And then they're afraid to testify because they think there'll be retaliation. They'll think people will blame them, and they do. And then the guy walks, which is what happened here. Now, this is just the poisonous icing on the sour cake, as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. Same here. And this argument his attorneys are making on appeal that if he brings a camera to a crime scene, all of a sudden it's free speech activity. That's not how it works. And again, we see this lack of accountability, lack of remorse, which colors everything that Sean Combs does.
To Dr. Janie Lacey joining us, you know her well, psychotherapist, CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, author of How to Heal from a Toxic Relationship.
Man, what's going on with y'all and Nancy? Everybody keep talking about knocking down Nancy and doing something to Nancy. Hell nah. Wouldn't touch this lady, man. No, y'all, what's wrong with y'all? Listen, to each his own, man. No, man. We gonna keep it 100. We gonna keep it thorough, man. No, Nancy ain't the type. You feel me?
You know what? I'd be willing to pay to send that book to all of his victims. Wait, I don't know if I can afford it. He's got so many. She's also the star of Let's Talk About It.
She gotta stop saying that, bro. Talking about something. He got so many victims, man. Hey, man, that's bullshit, man. Like I said, a lot of them motherfuckers was willing to participate.
With Janie Lacey. That's a podcast on YouTube, and you can find her at janielacey.com. Dr. Janie, thank you for being with us. Please, he got dissed behind bars, so Diddy had to start a little hair fight. Please.
You know, Nancy, when I think about this, I think about what prison does, right? It strips away everything. P. Diddy, a powerful person.
And, you know, I just think that right. I didn't have that same smirk or reaction. I didn't think that shit was that funny. You feel me? The smirk on this licensed she's a licensed psychotherapy and CEO of Life Counseling Solutions. That smirk that she had on her face, man. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Used to have to stay in control, right? The entourage, the image, the ability to buy his way out of a room. And I think what we're seeing here is what surfaces when the control disappears. It tells us everything, right? A fight behind bars tells us the person, when you remove all the things around him, he's still the same person. His instinct is not to de-escalate. It's to continue to try to dominate. And I think that's worth paying attention to, because that's a pattern. And what we see and what we're hearing in this conversation, right? The one thing that gets lost is these victims. And we know that with all these victims that continues to come forward, right? Silence isn't proof that nothing happened. It's just often proof of exactly how much power the other person held. And I want to make sure that we don't lose this and all of that, because the system's finally catching up to the reality of trauma and giving them a space to have a voice. And these survivors have legal windows in the culture.
I ain't gonna lie. Look at that. The bitch Diddy was a wild boy, man. That motherfucking Diddy, boy.
Permission to start talking about things. But he himself, accountability, credibility, and him staying the same, removing all the things around him, we're seeing what's coming up. And that's still the same person who wants control.
Tisa Tell's joining us from the Tisa Tell Show on YouTube. I think it's a shame what's happening in our justice system right now. A comeback, my rear end. Why? How is he making a comeback? Nonprofits, women's causes, charities. What?
Listen, the publicists, God bless their soul, publicists' jobs are to say, don't worry, everybody's going to forget when you sacrifice 12 puppies in Times Square. Just show them that golden smile. The publicist is giving a publicist's answer. And I agree with you. I was in court, okay? It was disgusting, the miscarriage of justice, okay? He wasn't working the jury. He was looking at starstruck people. The issue with Diddy is, yes, he can go, if you're willing to listen, and he'll say that, was performance art, and when he got into a fight, he's probably going to say that was interpretive dance that he was performing for his arts and culture division in prison. The fact of it with Diddy making a comeback is, first of all, let's talk facts. Diddy, even before this all happened, He wasn't able to get his comeback album off. Yes, there will always be someone that will be eligible to be president of the Future Wife Beaters of America Club. But those aren't the people Diddy wants. Diddy wants to be admired. He wants to be in the top echelon of society. He wants to be looked at as a philosopher king, sort of. And the success he wants, I think that it's going to evade him just because when the courts fail, there's something that goes back to the dawn of society where it is public shaming, public pressure. Diddy's issue is, regardless of what he says, I do think times are changing. I think thanks to your work, many of the panel's work, people look at domestic violence and they look at crimes a lot differently. And even if you're not convicted, who wants to be the fine, upstanding citizen that goes to a Diddy concert, that has his book on the coffee table? That's the issue Diddy faces. Yes, he can always go in the mud and find idiots to go to a show, but Diddy doesn't want the mud. He wants to be looked at almost as a deity. So this comeback that he speaks of.
I ain't gonna go that far, man. I definitely ain't gonna go that far, man. So I do know these people have power trips and complexes, and you know they like to be perceived and looked at, you know, in a certain way within, you know what I'm saying, the highfalutin society, right? So you know what I'm saying. I'm not going to, but with the deity and again, I don't know Diddy, and I don't know people like Diddy or people, you know what I'm saying, outside of Diddy. I don't give a fuck what color you are that do these stuff, like even with the Epsteins and all that shit, right? You feel me? Like, I don't know their personal understandings and dealings and works and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? The shit is disgusting to me. You feel me? I don't give a fuck what level, how you look at it, how you want to say it. And again, you know, even though I try to take, you know what I'm saying, all approaches and look at all variables and walk the bam. And, you know, even though I said, man, listen, I don't really see too many victims and shit like that. You feel me? Now that doesn't negate that my moral value or standard doesn't say that type of shit. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? No, that's not some shit that I'm doing that I would do. You feel me? But there are people that do those things, and there's a lot of people that live amongst us that's not against, you know what I'm saying, a proposed you know what I'm saying, to the shit that he did. You feel me? And especially with a lot of people knowing what was going on. You know? Now again, you know, we say victims. We really got to dive and dive and dive and dabble and get into, you know what I'm saying, who these victims are. And again, I don't want to make it seem like, man, bro, I don't give a fuck what nobody say, bro. Like, if you get around a motherfucker long enough, you know, man, this motherfucker a little bit. You feel me? Now, it's your choice and your decision whether you want to. Like, man, bro, I'm not making no music for no nigga, bro, and I ain't getting paid, bro, because I'm on a boat or yacht and you give me some motherfucking champagne, nigga, I'm going home afterwards. Now, if you tell me the only way that I could try, nigga, I'm going to fit my own beat. Now, don't get me wrong, maybe for the first couple of, but then I'm like, man, can I get my money? Can I get paid, bro? You feel me? So I can get on, get up out of this situation. This ain't even my type of, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? Environment that I want to be around and none of that shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the ride, nigga. You feel me? Like, even with the Cassie, shit, you feel me? Like, she was getting paid handsomely, bro. She could have been got the fuck on up out of there, bro. You feel me? Like, you wasn't saving your money. I'm pretty sure he went around you 24/7. You feel me? He had, like, and again, I'm not excusing the him putting his hands on the bride. You feel me? Because, I mean, the woman, you feel me? Because he shouldn't have done that. You know what I'm saying? But we don't even know, bro. Man, see, in situations and shit like this, bro, you feel me? I don't know, bro, because like I even said, bro, I didn't try to help a woman, bro, in a situation where she was getting beat. And this bride, man, bro, and now fuck the bride. Yeah, this bride, man, bro, pulled out a knife and stabbed me, bro, and started attacking me with the nigga, bro. Because I was whooped, man, bro, is you crazy? I'm not saying it's the same scenario or situation with Cassie, right? No, I'm not saying that. But you know what I'm saying? We seen the elevator video. I mean, what was the hallway video? You feel me? When she was running to the elevator, he came and whooped the bam and threw it down. And you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, bro, did y'all see him look in the bag and check the bag? Did she take something from? Now people will say, man, I don't give a fuck what she did. You don't do all that. Man, y'all don't know what the situation is, bro. We could just like even with the Nolan Wells case, bro, we don't know what the situation is. Now, I will say a lot of shit is too many inconsistencies. And I will say that if them little motherfuckers didn't do it, somebody know who did it. Y'all can't tell me y'all ain't see shit with all them people that was some just ain't adding up. So you can't tell me in a situation like that that I just can't say that, maybe they did do it or something. Come on, man, something happened. But in this situation, you feel me? Like, man, bro, like she could have got away. And then all these victims that y'all say was victims, these was willing participants that was in this shit. Now you can call them victims because you want to say that he's over this, you know what I'm saying, nasty ass, orgy infested ass type of, you feel me? And he corroborated the whole thing and he had this, that brought out and this, that injected and put into this. What? But I guarantee you, most of the motherfuckers that was at the parties, God damn it. Because they always said, I don't know if y'all paid attention, they always said at a certain time, man, it was time to get the fuck on. Because after that, it was Diddy time. And if you wasn't with the Diddy time, God damn it, you got the fuck on. And if you was with the Diddy time, you stayed at these parties after hours. So I get it at first, maybe, all right, let me see what the fuck going on type of shit. Let me see if I can make some connections and woo wop the bam. You feel me, you know? Because you know, all type of shit goes through my fucking mind when they trying to come up. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man, woman, and I ain't saying what they doing is the right thing to be doing, but they're not necessarily, you feel me? Maybe they ain't know they was gonna get into shit like that. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Maybe motherfucker. But back to the deity shit and the individualism, man, of a man. Like, you feel, I get it. Like I said, he was a wild boy, the shit that he was doing. You feel, but I know regular motherfuckers just like that. You know what I'm saying? And you are God. Ain't that what the Bible teach you? I'm just
for think people that have a moral compass and people that want more for themselves and people around them. I just don't see this comeback happening. And on social media, okay, unless Diddy's people are being bullied and his fans are being shamed from coming out on social media across every demographic, social, economic, and religious, he is person non grata. So again, good luck with this comeback he speaks of.
Hi, guys. Is Nancy Grace here? Please join us on Crime.
and also, man, listen, I ain't the great philosopher, the great debater, the all-knowing, you know what I'm saying, Oz and shit. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying what I'm saying is the absolute. You feel me? Because perception and understanding an individual cognitive ability to project or reflect or receive, you know what I'm saying, shit that come to you throughout your experiences of this thing that we call life. You feel me? They subject, you know what I'm saying? So it can be subjective and relegated to just your own. You feel me? So, but you know, you can get some motherfuckers that agree with you, bro. So all I'm saying is, bro, I ain't saying that I'm right, bro, and I ain't saying that I'm wrong. I'm just saying about how I see some shit. You feel me? Now, logically, morally, biblically, even though I don't get into that shit, bro, but when you break it down, bro, unless you just some type of sick motherfucker, bro, you feel me? There's no way in the hell that you can't see that sometime maybe this shit is just a little bit too much. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe the responsibility of what you put upon a person, goddamn it, they shouldn't have been able to have. You feel me? Due to whatever. You know what I'm saying? But see, but if it's planned out and you know what the motherfucker gonna do, you feel me? When they come from certain circumstances, see, that's why I say, bro, I don't know if y'all, I mean, I always say this, bro. It's checkers, bro. I mean, it's chess, bro. At one point in time, you had a motherfucker, you feel me, moving in actual, you know what I'm saying, capturing the pieces. Now, bro, this shit is on automatic, bro. I don't know if y'all ever seen the automatic chessboard. You can dial the coordinates in or you can speak them out loud and the motherfucking piece move, bro. You feel me? Automatic. Now imagine them hooking that shit to your mind and to your brain. And your frequencies is going straight to a chip that's on this chessboard. So you just thinking your move. You ain't even speaking it out. And that's what's going on. That's what's happening right now. You know? And we are willing participants. We are willing pawns. We are willing rooks. We are willing bishops. We are willing kings and queens. We are willing knights. See, the chessboard ain't shit, but life, your government, how you deal with each other in everyday society, who you are, caste systems, what you represent. For anyone that play chess, I ain't got to go too deep or get into the shit pawns. You know, that's on the front line. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got to get all, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? With the shit. We know what it is. We can understand. You feel me? I know pretty much my audience is aware. I ain't gonna say everybody woke. You feel me? Because woke don't mean that you're third. See, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Because everybody, you feel me, get the wrong understanding about what woke is. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, you feel me? I see it in a different way, but we'll tap into that all. You feel me? But yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? It's chess, man, you know, your kings, your queens, you know what I'm saying? Again, your knights, you know, that's part of the soldier regime as well, you know what I'm saying? With the pawns that's up front, you know what I'm saying? Which will be your army because they the foot soldiers on the ground, you know what I'm saying? Then you got your knights, you know what I'm saying, coming right behind them, bagging them up. That's a little bit more, you know what I'm saying, up there on the military scale, you feel me? You got your bishops, man. Running your you know, you know what I'm saying, your spiritual, your religious, you know what I'm saying, conquest, you know what I'm saying? Don't forget your rook. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, like, yeah, it's chess, bro.
Is reaching from beyond the grave. Will he point the finger at Sean?
Hey, this is some bullshit too. Why the fuck? If she wanted to report about Tupac reaching from beyond the grave to be getting some fucking water bail, why the fuck you put up the fucking, like, this is like, come on, bro. Like, this is slapping the face. Why the fuck you put up the jail photo? You could, man, out of all the fucking pictures in the world that Tupac got, you choose these.
Combs, aka Diddy. People swear Sean Combs was involved in the Tupac Shakur hit. It's called a big mystery. It's not a mystery. There are thousands of people milling around on the streets and sidewalks of Vegas 24/7. He gets shot in plain view and nobody saw a thing. That's not true. In the last hours, Dave Mack, a witness list has been released in the Tupac Shakur murder trial. Tell me about the trial.
Nancy, this is the trial of Keefe D. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the sole defendant, mind you. All right.
Yeah, so I want to try to find some footage on that because I think they did a jury selection. I think I can't. I'm trying to find it. I can't find it, but I done seen the other content creators. They had a little something. I think I might have found something. Also after Nancy get through, I want to get into that as well. You feel me? Because that's a fucking, like, come on, bro, pull up on the side of you. Even though, and again, I didn't really follow the Tupac and Biggie shit like that. You feel me? As far as, you know what I'm saying, I didn't, so I don't know all the intricate details about the case. So I really don't want to make a statement or comment too much about it. You feel me? Because again, I don't know because like I said, I didn't follow. But from what I do know, that shit's wild.
This long-awaited trial, Nancy, centers around the murder of Tupac. He was shot in his car in Vegas as they were leaving a boxing match, right? And you mentioned 24/7 people all the time in Vegas. Well, it was even greater on that night in 1996. The people gearing up to testify, the witness list, Nancy, right now, Marion Suge Knight, 61 years old. He was injured in that shooting that killed Tupac. He was there in the vehicle. Oscar Goodman. Oscar is now 87 years old. He was the mayor of Las Vegas from 1999 to 2011. Now, before he started serving as mayor, Goodman worked as a defense attorney and represented a number of defendants who were part of organized crime. He's on the witness list. David Chesnoff, he is the law partner of Goodman's list.
Man, you think them up? Do you even get something out of them? Shit.
Another witness, Reggie White Jr., Reggie White Sr. These are Reggie White Jr. is the former head of security at Death Row Records. And Davis said that Wright was the man who organized the hit on Tupac.
Something really important to point out here is that law enforcement, and we're talking federal DEA agent interviews with Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, suggest that he pointed the finger at Combs, having put a $1 million bounty on the head of Tupac. Now, this finger pointing was strong enough that when the claim was made, law enforcement went into overdrive researching Diddy and his possible involvement and found, quote, no credible evidence to investigate any further or to charge Diddy in relation to the Tupac murder. I think it's important, Nancy, to point out no credible evidence. And the man who made the claim is the man going on trial, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis.
Dave Mack, let me understand. At the get-go, there was an ambush of Tupac on an elevator in one of the big hotels. Why are you showing me that shot of Shakur? Why am I getting a mugshot? The man's dead. Show me a beauty shot, for Pete's sake.
I want to apologize to Nancy Grace because I just got down on her for that, and I didn't even know Nancy was going to do that. Hey, big shout out to motherfucking Nancy Grace, man. Hey. You know what I'm saying? Damn, that was a hell of a pause. God damn, I ain't gonna clip you, Nancy. I ain't gonna do you like that. But yeah, I ain't know Nancy was gonna do that, man. Big shout out to Nancy. Cause I'm like, damn, why the fuck they steady showing the mugshot? All the pictures they got of Pac, man. That's how y'all gonna do them.
You know, you showed me, Control Room, every photo of Sean Combs dressed all up at all of these parties. Then Tupac Shakur, one of the most talented people to ever live, you show me his mugshot. Really? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Tease tells Dave Mack.
Hey, Control in on it too, because they still trying to paint him as the villain.
Tupac was ambushed on an elevator. Let's just start with that. In a posh hotel. Tupac insinuated that Diddy was involved. Diddy didn't like that. Listen.
Dwayne Keefe D. Davis claims credit for Tupac's murder on BET and in his memoir. He says Puffy Combs wanted Knight and Tupac's heads after their diss track Hit 'Em Up. When Davis offers to carry out the hits, Combs agrees to pay him $1 million. According to Davis, Eric...
Hey, y'all, I ain't gonna lie, man. Hey, first off, fuck... What do you say? First off, fuck you in the click your claim website. Hey, bro. I'd have been pissed too, man. If y'all ain't heard Hit 'Em Up. Hey, Pac. I ain't even no big Tupac fan. Don't get me wrong. I ain't saying he had no country hits. I fuck with Pac. I just wasn't a big Pac fan. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't saying he wasn't. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you feel me? But yeah. But that Hit 'Em Up. I ain't saying out of, you know what I'm saying, put a hit out on him, man. But man, he'd have made me want to touch it with my own hands, though. I tell you that much, though, bro. That, god damn, Pac hurt some feelings with that Hit 'Em Up, bro. That Hit 'Em Up, that shit classic.
Zip Martin, a New York drug dealer, suggests they have the perfect opportunity to carry out Puffy's hit and even provides the gun. Davis, Anderson, Terrence Brown, and DeAndre Smith stake out the club where Shakur is performing. But Tupac's a no-show, and the Crips abandon the plan. Driving down the strip, they spot Knight and Tupac stopped in traffic. Brown flips a U-turn in their white Cadillac. Davis passes Anderson the gun, and Anderson leans over Smith to shoot Tupac.
Now, let's get the timing down regarding potential motive to murder Tupac. Potential motive. As of tonight, Sean Combs is not charged in the murder of Tupac Shakur. A witness list came out. But hey, hold on, Teasy Tells. Daryl Cohen, you want to tell me that everybody that is on that witness list and more aren't going to be ready to point the finger at Sean Combs to save their own skin?
Nancy, they're going to do whatever they need to do to make sure the truth is told, which means protect me because my skin means more.
That ain't what she asked, though. I like the way how you got around that. That ain't what she asked.
More to me than Puff Daddy's skin. And by the way, Nancy, my memory about Puff Daddy, wasn't there some sort of a situation at a hotel in Hollywood that was on video that showed what a wonderful human being he was in addition to all of this?
I would love to show it, but we would be accused of perpetuating violence on women if we showed the truth. Yes, it shows him in detail on video. And if that hadn't been made public, the case would never have gone forward. You're right, Daryl Cohen, of him beating and dragging Cassie.
And if that's the case, that's even crazy because didn't they say shit? They couldn't do shit to him about that because it was what they say? It was past the statute of law limitation, whatever fuck. And it wasn't never reported, so they really couldn't do shit about it, which is crazy. But how the fuck did that push it? Man.
Ventura, when she was trying to get away from a freak off, she was tired of being videoed for his enjoyment. Videoed. That's right. And then when she wouldn't do what he said, he comes out in a towel, nothing but a towel. He gets mad finally because she won't do what he wants, and he throws.
And we don't know that's the case. We don't know why the fuck she ran about it, Nancy. Now, come on, Nancy. Now, I ain't gonna sit here and say we ain't see the man do what he did, right? You know what I'm saying? Because, again, like I said, maybe she stole something. We don't know what the fuck. But, again, you know, still don't put your hands on the person, call police. You did it. It should have been insured. Or we don't know even know. If she did that, we don't even know what the fuck it was. You know what I'm saying? You know? People flip out for less things. Men and women. Children as well. But I'm not going to sit here and say that she was tied up. You know what I'm saying? The freak offs or whatever. Come on, Nancy. God damn. You're reaching, Nancy.
And breaks an expensive vase. Oh, yeah, I knew I was going to have to see that. Thank God the towel didn't fall off. Back to the murder of Tupac Shakur. Daryl Cohen, you and I have seen it. And of course, you got to consider the source that someone would be saying it to save their own skin. You and I have seen it. I can't even count the times in court. It's just like, let me look at my watch. I'm about to hear them blame somebody else. I would not be surprised as you and I are talking, because we've both seen it in court a million times, someone pointing the finger at Diddy in court. This, as we learn, Tisa Tells joining us from Tisa Tells Show on YouTube. Combs just sold his Star Island home for, what was it, $55 million?
Yeah, $55 million sale, but even if you get to the story about
going
that,
on, my boy?
It shows Diddy being an oily little weasel. He was forced to sell the home for $55 million because prior to that, he was entering into a secret deal to sell the home for $55 million. When they got to closing, they refused to show clean title. So the deal fell through. The gentleman that he was supposed to sell it with, then petitioned the court. He filed a lawsuit, even though it was supposed to go to arbitration, saying they want the courts to force sell. And wouldn't you know it, Diddy's team said, this is ridiculous. You didn't have to put it in the media. And wouldn't you know it, a couple of weeks later, the home was sold for $55 million. Now, interestingly enough, before the fight with Diddy happened in jail, and we'll see actually if there's a real punishment metered out for that horrible behavior, Diddy was thinking that he was going to be home by November of 2027 or maybe even summer of 2027. And again, when he got that hope, they're saying that's when he took back the offer or tried to slow down the offer for selling the home. So the thing is with Sean Diddy Combs, as I'm sure you know, everything that happens when you get under the layers, there's a pattern of him just being slippery, him being weaselly, and nothing is as easy as it seems. But the $55 million home, he thought he needed the money, and something happened, and he said, I did, and he tried to back out, and the sale was actually forced. So not sure how happy Diddy is about that sale.
We wait as justice unfolds, but don't worry, Sean Combs. The itty bitty Diddy committee is on you like a cheap seat.
Hey,
We don't
man.
forget. If you know.
Hey, man. Hey, what is wrong with Nancy Grace, man? What is she doing, bro? That's crazy, bro. Nancy wild as hell for that one. Hey, big shout out. Jetto Planet, Guido Planet. He says Cassie should be in jail as well. Fair cameras all over that house. Yeah, you know it. You know it. But Cassie, yeah, like she participated in a lot of this shit. Hold on. Wasn't Cassie that was calling some of these people to come? You know what?
Or you think you know anything regarding Sean Combs' prosecution, cases against him, or in the Tupac Shakur case. Call Homeland Security, 877-447-4847. Repeat, 877-447-4847. Tonight we remember an American hero, Deputy Constable Caleb Rule, Fort Bend County, Texas. Passed away in the line of duty after 15 years on the force, leaving behind wife Eden and 4 children without a dad. American hero, Deputy Constable Caleb Rule. Thank you to our guests, but especially to you for being with us tonight. Nancy Grace signing off. I'll see you tomorrow night. And until then, good night, friends.
Yeah, man. I don't know what the hell Nancy. hey, Nancy is hilarious. Nancy is hilarious, man. When she brought out the Tootsie Roll, that was classic. Goddamn Nancy. And big ups to her for speaking up on that damn what you call it, man? What you call it? The picture that was put up of Tupac. He was like, damn, man, why y'all steady? You feel me? Yeah. Big ups to her for that, man. So with the Tupac situation, with Diddy and Pac, man, I don't know what's gonna go on with that. But as far as Diddy itself, man, I do believe like Cassie and a lot of those other people, you know what I'm saying, should have suffered from some things as well as you know what I'm saying, Diddy. I'm gonna keep it 100, man. Like she was the one making the phone calls and shit, right? To a lot of these people and shit like that. You feel me? But ain't nobody speaking out and talking about that. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to try to make it seem like, okay, yeah, but at first she was the one getting coerced into, I'm saying, a lot of this shit, so we can't really say, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? I know how motherfucker won't spin it, won't make it. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad. But I want to get into this jury selection, man. In the Tupac situation, real quick, man. I want to keep the folks abroad on that. Hold on. I knew they was gonna do that to me. Hold on. I knew they was gonna do that. You say, she sing the Diddy. Yeah, man, that was wild, man. I don't know what she had going on, but yeah, man, come on, man. well, did they get this? Because I don't be watch nobody else. They giving me a lot, a bunch of others crazy. All right, we'll do this one, y'all. We'll do this one. Let's do this one real quick. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. My bad. I do apologize, y'all. I do apologize. I had it ready, but I didn't. It wasn't what I thought it was. It wasn't what I thought it was. Let's go.
It has been nearly 30 years since Tupac Shakur was
Shadow,
killed,
thanks
but
for them
on Monday,
jewels.
a new
Appreciate you, my
development
boy.
happening. This coming from Fox 5 Atlanta. Dwayne Kathy D. Davis is headed to trial for his alleged role in arranging the 1996 drive-by shooting that killed rap legend Tupac Shakur. Davis is the only suspect ever formally charged in connection with the crime. Nearly 30 years after Shakur was gunned down on the Las Vegas Strip, the case is finally headed to trial. Once again, Davis, the only person ever charged in the killing, and prosecutors say that he helped orchestrate the drive-by shooting and provided the gun. Davis has pleaded not guilty. Now, after years of delay, trial proceedings get underway on Monday as jury selection starts in a Las Vegas courtroom. This trial is expected to last 4 to 5 weeks and could finally put some of the biggest questions surrounding this death in front of a jury. So here to walk us through what happens next, I want to bring into the conversation attorney Trey Lavelle. Thanks so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So for somebody watching this trial who hasn't been following it for the last 30 years, what exactly did the prosecution have to prove to get this murder conviction here?
Yeah, so what the prosecution has to prove is not that Dwayne Davis did the crime, but that he helped orchestrate the crime and provided the murder weapon. And there's a specific statute in Nevada that's a murder statute where you're trying to promote and assist a gang crime.
Yeah, but then even within that, all you got to do is say, man, look, you feel me? It was Diddy or some shit like that. Because you know that's the whole focus, that's the whole goal, that's the whole plan. They're trying to push this shit on
And
Diddy.
that's where this is largely resting, and he has put himself through his own discussions and own publications in the car, providing the weapon, which kind of triggers.
That's Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, aka Daddy Love, Father Love, aka all the rest of the shit. So Sean Combs.
So it's important. It's one count of murder, but they don't have to prove that he did it, just that he helped orchestrate the crime and provided the murder weapon.
And what's he facing if ultimately they do decide that?
He's facing life without the possibility of parole. It's a very serious crime with very serious consequences. And that's why I think, because of the seriousness of the offense, that's one of the reasons I think the prosecution decided to go ahead and go after him.
So we were kind of talking about this before this interview started. Really interesting case because he did an interview with law enforcement back in 2008. And then he also wrote this essentially tell-all memoir. All of this is going to be used in the trial. It almost seems like he was asking for this.
That's the most shocking thing of all, because, this case was essentially given up on. It happened 3 decades ago. They did an investigation. They couldn't get anywhere. And then all of a sudden comes out this book in 2019 where he's out there talking about the crime, putting himself in the car, kind of bragging about his involvement. And then more information comes out that he was a gang leader and part of the Crips and things like that. And all of a sudden it put himself on the police's radar. And those statements that were also kind of appeared in documentaries. And there was another interview with federal investigators in 2008, where he also talked about the crime, but supposedly that was supposed to be confidential. All of this stuff started to arise. And the prosecutors said, hey, we got somebody. And there's been a thirst for 3 decades to try to go after and solve this crime, figure out what happened, because it was so high profile. And I think that's really the impetus for why they're going after him.
Really interesting. So how can somebody be convicted of murder if they're accused of orchestrating a killing rather than actually firing that gun?
Well, it's almost like a conspiracy and aiding and abetting type theory. But there are specific statutes that if you're, helping to promote a murder with a gang activity, it's an exacerbated crime, exacerbated murder charge, which leads to one of the worst penalties you have, which is life without the possibility of parole. So that's the one statute they can go after because they don't really have the evidence of him actually committing the crime and much more than that. So there's a statute that allows them to pursue that. And it's really about trying to put together 3 decades of evidence to corroborate the prosecution's position that, hey, he was there. he orchestrated, he should go to jail.
Take us inside that courtroom. When that jury is selected, the trial gets underway. What should viewers be paying attention to in those opening statements?
Well, what's so fascinating about this case is it's almost reversed from what a typical murder trial is. In most murder trials, you have DNA evidence. You have, if it's a shooting, you have ballistics. You have fingerprints. You have testing. And you have maybe co-conspirators that can flip on each other and things like that. We have none of that. There was no DNA at the time. There's no gun was ever recovered. They never recovered the car. They don't have fingerprints. Everybody in the car is dead. And so now they're just really relying on this confession or these admissions, which also you don't typically get in a mainstream murder trial. So it's almost backwards. They've got these confessions or these admissions they're trying to use, and they're trying to, backwards corroborate that, put together the case to support those statements, which is really a challenge.
So walk us through the prosecution's case. How do they take a jury from this happened back in 1996 to the defendant is criminally responsible for this?
So what's going to lead the prosecution's case are those statements and admissions that Dwayne Davis made in his memoir and to the federal authorities, basically saying, hey, I was part of it. My cousin, my nephew had been beat up earlier that night at the MGM by Tupac and his gang and his group, and it was revenge. And we were driving on the strip. We saw them. I provided the gun. I was there. He made these self-serving statements, which is often the best evidence a prosecution can have. Somebody admitting to the crime is often more powerful than eyewitness testimony, sometimes even video testimony. So they're starting out with very strong evidence, but now they have to put it together and they have to back it up.
And as we're seeing that really strong evidence that you're mentioning, if you're his defense attorney, how do you explain all of these statements, the interview and all of that without essentially asking the jury to ignore his own words?
It's going to be a challenge. First of all, the defense is going to say, hey, he was sensationalizing this. This was fictionalized. He was selling a book. He was trying to profit off it. It's not true. He was just exaggerating and making it up. They're also going to say that the book was co-written by another author, and you really can't show, attribute which statements were made to which author, and maybe he didn't make those statements himself in the book. But it's going to be a challenge because whenever you're trying to refute or recant what your client has said, there's a credibility problem. And this presents the one issue to the defense that most defense lawyers don't have. Do we put him on the stand? Because the best person that can explain why he made those statements and provide a reasonable basis for why they're not true is Davis. So they're going to be really, as the trial gets going and towards the end, they're going to really have to think whether they need to put him on the stand. And that's going to depend how well they're able to chip away at the prosecution's case as it's going on.
Do you think it's going to be hard to find an unbiased jury?
No, I don't think so. I mean, people can be biased or have, certain leanings, but also be fair. Everybody's going to have an opinion on somebody. Most people are going to know who Tupac was. They're going to know about this case. So it's going to be hard to find a jury that nobody has really heard about it. But you just have to go through and really vet. Can you be fair on this? Can you be open on this? This is an old case. Do you have any specific preferences coming into it? Can you be things like that? And the judge and the lawyers can do a pretty good job about vetting it. So I'm not too concerned that they can't get a fair jury. They just have to go through the steps to make sure that everybody there will have an open mind.
So let's say you're in that jury box there. You're hearing a story about a shooting that happened almost 30 years ago, with several key people now dead. How does that passage of time ultimately impact the prosecution's ability to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt?
It makes it extremely difficult. And time is the defense lawyer's best friend. Because when you have 3 decades that have passed,
Two Wheels, what up?
Memories fade. Collection of evidence gets questionable. Forensic testing is questionable. It happened so long ago. You're going to be able, as a defense lawyer, to be able to chip away at that. So the prosecution knows that. That's why they have a 200 witness list so far, because they're going to put together this case brick by brick by brick and build a pyramid. And that's why they have so many witnesses. It's going to take so much time because they're going to have to do it because it's so old.
And, as we could potentially have witnesses recounting events from, like we said, 3 decades ago, how might attorneys attack or defend a witness's credibility in terms of remembering what actually happened?
Well, the first thing that's going to creep in is humanity. People naturally forget things. Memories certainly fade after that time. And the defense is going to have very specific cross-examination questions. of the area, of the perimeter, how far, where were you, what happened, what around you, who can corroborate, things like that. And it's going to be difficult for witnesses who are testifying to what they saw 3 decades ago to be able to provide that. And that is going to be one of the defense's biggest strategies, is dismantling the credibility of those witnesses. But at the same time, you have these statements the prosecution is leading with, and if the prosecution can develop a narrative that a reasonable person can say, yeah, I see that. His nephew was beat up. He wanted to get revenge. He's in a gang. It's part of gang culture to do this. How would he know these things if he wasn't in the car? Why would he say this? So, going into it, the prosecution has major challenges, but they got a pretty good start. It's just how the defense is going to deal with it.
Who might some of the witnesses be that we can expect to see called?
Oh, it's a lengthy list. They're going to call Suge Knight, who was in the car with Tupac and was minorly injured. So whether or not he's going to be willing to testify, what he's going to say, we don't know. They're going to call him. They're going to call the LAPD investigators that investigated the scene at the time to get their recollection, start to put the framework together. A lot of this is gang related. Because the charge is based on promoting gang violence. So they're going to have experts in the gang about gangs, showing how the hierarchy is and showing how the culture crept into this. They're going to have evidence that there was a rivalry between Death Row Records and Bad Boy Records. In other words, between Tupac Shakur and Dwayne Davis. And they're going to start to kind of piece together the motive, which was the revenge. The fact that incident happened at the MGM, that is part of gang culture to get revenge. And they're going to circle the wagons around that, with leading these statements. So they're even going to have, and other experts, that were there. They don't have too much in forensics because, as I said, they don't have DNA, the murder weapon, things like that. So this is largely going to be lay witness testimony.
I'm curious, what kind of evidence might sound very compelling to us as viewers and the public, but in the courtroom, it might not be as important?
Well, I think, everybody has that first question, why did he talk? And, what was the impetus for him to say? Any person knows that if you're talking about being involved in a crime that was unsolved.
I don't know if this, in this shit, because it was so long ago, I don't know what can be had. And then for him to just retract his statement like that, you feel me? And again, they say they rolled up on the side but it was a car on the back, car on the side, a car on the front. You mean tell me, bro, all them cars that was out there, that nobody see, this shit ain't right, bro. Then nobody get come on, man, stop this shit.
3 decades ago with a famous person that was high profile, of course, it's going to put you in the crosshairs. So I think what we can look at is how the defense is going to explain that. Will they be able to come up with a really good reason why he said that, why it's not true? And I think that's going to be very compelling. But you got to remember, in the courtroom, it's all about the evidence presented. We hear things out here that are not going to be admitted, and opinions and things like that the jury will never hear. So within what's happening in the courtroom, a lot of things can happen. And, a talented defense lawyers can really, pick at witnesses, and a prosecution who can tell a good story can make it very compelling.
And, because we are talking about Tupac here, there are obviously just those enormous emotions and decades of speculation surrounding this case, 3 decades almost to be exact. How hard is it for lawyers to keep that jury focused on that evidence rather than everything they've heard about Tupac, the music industry, and even those theories about his death that have just been circulating?
Well, it's going to be very difficult, and they got to keep the jury focused on what's at issue. But I think as the public watches this, what's even as important as determining who committed the murder.
And that's one of the main reasons why I say, you feel me, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be hard. Like she said, it's been down there 30 years, bro. You know what I'm saying? You would have to get, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's going to be hard. You know what I'm saying? Then, like you say, well, like they said, you know what I'm saying, all the things that you may have heard, you know what I'm saying, outside of the case in the streets with people talking and, you know what I'm saying, the rumors and the this, the that, and the thirds, and, you know what I'm saying, and then the people that know them or whatever, you know what I'm saying, because, I'm pretty sure people talk, and I'm pretty sure somebody know, you feel me? And I guarantee you somebody on that day that was in one of them cars know, you know what I'm saying, because ain't no way in the hell, bro. If we all surrounded and we in the entourage, ain't now one of you motherfuckers, look, hey, go get them. We gonna stay back, call the hospital. 1-2 car should have took a chase. Other 2 cars should have, you feel me, jumped out, got the body into the next car, hood, instantly went to the hospital, bro. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? And calling the police and letting the police know. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. Don't move. Don't do this. Don't do that. No, we ain't in that type of situation. We ain't in that type of time. We just got shot the fuck up. We finna move. You feel me? He shot. He bleeding. We finna get him to the hospital type situation. You feel what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, man. I don't know. This shit is. And 30 years ago, a lot of this evidence, you know how much shit that been tainted with inside of this Tupac, you know what I'm saying, trial or this Tupac murder case.
There's more facts about it. What actually happened, and maybe some things will come out.
What's
that
going
will help
on,
the
Doc? How you
Shakur
feeling,
family,
Doc?
will help people that were involved. Put this to rest, because there are so many questions. From what happened 3 decades ago, and they just didn't get very far. And a lot of those questions remain answered. Now we have somebody that was in the car, Suge Knight, who's going to be on the stand. We have somebody that the same was in the other car, orchestrating the murder, to charge him. And so now we're going to be opening up the wound.
And who the hell, like Suge Knight? Suge Knight on the night in question, Suge Knight was driving the car, and supposedly he got grades as well. You feel me? But you know what I'm saying? Of course, as we know, he didn't take the brunt of, you know what I'm saying, the shooting or whatever the case may be. Shit crazy, man. Even from that eventful night, man, when dude came back and told them and Pac went and found dude, and I'm just like, come on, man. Like God damn. You know what I'm saying? Like Pac, like God damn. You know what I'm saying? Like all this shit could have been avoided. You feel me? Oh, I don't know if it was, listen, they so basically what they trying to push is that it was inevitable. It was gonna happen either way it go. You feel me? This was just, you know what I'm saying, some old extra type situation type shit. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, from what's being said and what's being told, because you get so many stories about this shit. But yeah, man. But Suge Knight on the stand, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how credible Suge Knight is.
Looking at all the different facts and revisiting this case, and maybe we can get some answers that otherwise we've never been able to get.
And what happens at the end of this? Once both sides rest, ultimately, what's the jury going to be left to decide?
The jury's going to be left to decide whether or not, he was there, he provided the weapon, and he's part of a gang. And this was part of gang revenge. Those are really the elements that they have to prove. One interesting thing, too, is there's going to be a lot of appellate issues here. The judge is letting in the memoir, and he's letting in the testimony, the interview that the federal investigators had with him in 2008. Now, he's claiming there was an agreement, and the reason he gave that interview was there was going to be confidentiality, and they couldn't use it against him. So if there is, if they find him guilty and this thing's on appeal, that's going to be a heavily appealed issue, which could cause it to go back to the trial court. So there's a lot of appellate issues going into it, but it's so hard to predict because we've heard a little bit, being in the public, but with those 200 witnesses, with 4 or 5 weeks of trial, with what the defense is going to come up with, it's going to be completely different after 3 or 4 weeks.
And if the jury comes back not guilty, does that mean that they just believe Davis had simply nothing to do with this killing?
Not necessarily. What it means is that the prosecution couldn't fulfill their burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt. You got to remember, sometimes if a defendant is not found to have committed the crime, it's not because he's innocent or guilty, but because the prosecution couldn't fulfill its burden. And oftentimes, cases like this, they may end up in a hung jury. Maybe some will think he did it and participated, others won't. And so there's a number of things that could happen. But it's going to be an exciting trial. It has all the elements of not only a murder trial, but a murder mystery movie. And so it's going to be fun the next 3 or 4 weeks as we watch this.
Certainly. And if you could leave viewers with one thing that you're just really watching for during this, what would it be?
2 things. Will Davis testify? Will they need him to testify to really explain those statements? And how compelling will the case be that the prosecution brings? They're going to lead with these statements, but they really have to have backup corroborating evidence that shows these statements reflect exactly what happened. And the defense is going to pick holes in that. So as we see each cross-examination, as we see each witness, as they're tested, that's going to add up as well. So, I would say it's going to be certainly whether or not Davis is going to testify, and it's going to be really how that prosecution, how well they're able to tell the story, convince a jury, hey, yeah, I think this did happen.
All right, Trey, thank you so much for your time breaking it all down for us. We always appreciate you on Live Now from Fox.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, we are going to take this opportunity to slide away for a quick 2-minute commercial break. Our coverage continuing in moments.
September 7th,
Well, yeah, man. But like they say, man, 30 years. Um, that's gonna be a lot of, you know what I'm saying, a lot of shit that they're gonna have to unfold with this Tupac, man. Like, then you got like you say, you got Suge Knight on this, as a witness, um, Reggie White Senior and Junior as a witness. The people who, you know what I'm saying, basically were in cahoots and you know what I'm saying, collaboration with each other. So I mean, like I said, it's gonna be hard. Then you got Keefe D who said he did it. Then all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, he took it back. Like, man, like I say, man, I really didn't follow. Um, I really didn't follow the Tupac, you know what I'm saying, murder trial like that. You know what I'm saying. So, but and again, I don't know if anybody's gonna get justice. Like, it's 30 years. Like, and I don't want to say it like that, man, but you know, it's so many unsolved crimes, bro, that's been going on. It's been so many. You know what I'm saying? It's been so. I mean, man, I listen. If they did, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me. You know what I'm saying? I just know the situations around it. It's just crazy though, cause like I say, man, ain't no way in the hell. You know what I'm saying? We in the entourage, and then all of a sudden, you know, no one gives chase to shit. No one, you know what I'm saying? Nothing. There's just nothing. Moment. Moment. But yeah, we got to get the people something better than that. You feel me? And then nobody took off after the fucking car. Nobody knew nothing about nothing. That's crazy. That's that's crazy, man. For that to be, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Yeah, let's.
We always joke, me and Tim, man. It's an action movie. We're action stars now. We running this stuff. And if you look at us, we look like the two most unlikely action stars in the world. So it's like we're the new, we always joke like we're the new Danny Glover and Mel
I
Gibson.
don't know what's going on with the sound, y'all.
And
let me walk you through the timeline of events as we know them right now. Prior to September 7th of 1996.
Hey, Keith, Metro Police, come over here. Hey, Metro Police, come over here, all right? Thanks, buddy. Come on over here.
This is when they was locking up Keefe D. I guess this is when they went and got him.
Kick that foot up. You ready? I'm a pro, dude. Oh, you got it? All right. He's I'm a pro. He's I'm a pro. All right. Thank you. No, we're done.
I don't like this. They're not really reporting, man. Then every time the audio come in, it's I
Three,
do.
2, 1. There it is. Yee! There it is.
The game was street. That's what's up.
Because we have, when I left college, I took all my books with me when I moved to San Francisco.
Paperwork look official when I don't know.
Well, let's speak of the terms of poetic justice. If he is in fact the actual individual that plotted, planned, and I see why the prosecutor would bring him to court. If he's able to be held accountable for it, yeah, that would definitely bring closure to our community and for even America abroad, especially in these date and time, But let it be what the truth really is.
Hold on, y'all. I just for the life of me, I can't. You feed me. I know a lot of people like to show shows. I can't sit there and watch that. I gotta, I gotta, no. Yeah. They weren't doing enough for me. They weren't doing it. Yeah, I can't sit there and watch. Hold on. Right. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. I bet. Gotta be specific. Oh, you gotta be specific. Yeah, I can't. Ah, okay. That's okay. Okay, yeah, see, y'all got to excuse me, man. Y'all got to excuse me. I'm a little, you feel me?
After one of hip hop's most influential artists was killed, the long awaited trial for the murder of Tupac Shakur finally getting underway today with jury selection. Tupac Shakur was killed in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas in 1996 at the height of his career. Dwayne Davis is the only person that's ever been charged in connection with his death. He has pleaded not guilty to one count of murder with the use of a deadly weapon. Davis is not accused of being the person to actually pull the trigger. Rather, prosecutors say he helped orchestrate the shooting. I spoke with Tupac Shakur's stepbrother about how he feels going into this trial. Do you think that Tupac's murder has finally been solved?
Almost.
Why do you
We're
say
almost
that?
there.
Why do you say that?
Well, the guy said he did it. He said he did it. Rhodey did it, right? Or was part of what happened there. And now he's saying he didn't. So we'll see in court. I don't know.
Our Nick Watt is watching all of this and gives us a sense of what we can expect from the trial.
Hey, Keith, Metro Police, come over here.
Dwayne Keith Davis, a.k.a. Keefy D, was arrested 3 years ago.
So what they got you for, man?
Oh, man. Biggest case in Las Vegas history.
Oh, yeah?
Shooting, the killing of Tupac Shakur at a stoplight in Vegas late one night after a Mike Tyson fight nearly 30 years ago. Back then, many thought Tupac's death was down to the East Coast, West Coast rap rivalry that had flared up in the early 90s. Just 3 months before he was killed, Tupac released Hit 'Em Up, dissing and threatening his friend turned rival Biggie Smalls and other East Coast rappers.
West side, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but your wife. We bust on bad boys for life.
Biggie was gunned down and killed 6 months after Tupac. No one has ever been charged with his murder. But here's what prosecutors will argue at Keefy D's trial that starts this week, detailed by a homicide detective just after Dwayne Davis, Keefy D's, arrest.
As we all know, Tupac Shakur was an artist who was signed with Death Row Records. And that Death Row Records and its CEO, Marion Suge Knight, were closely affiliated with the Mob Piru criminal street gangs, and that they had an ongoing feud with the Southside Compton Crips. Dwayne Davis was the leader and shot caller of the Southside Compton Crips.
Members of both gangs were, say police, at the Tyson fight in the MGM Grand that night. And afterwards, in the lobby, Tupac, Knight, and others spotted Keefy D's nephew, Orlando Anderson, and beat him up.
Little did anyone know that it is this incident right here that would ultimately lead to the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac Shakur. Dwayne Davis began to devise a plan to obtain a firearm and retaliate against Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur for what occurred inside the hotel against Mr. Anderson.
Anderson, his uncle Keefy D, and 2 other men allegedly got into a white Cadillac and followed Knight and Tupac, who were in a black BMW en route to a club. Investigators allege it was Anderson who actually pulled the trigger.
Were you involved in any way in the death of Tupac Shakur?
No, I was not involved.
Anderson was shot and killed 8 months after that interview with CNN. Keefy D is the only man who was in that white Cadillac who is still alive. He's now 63. No one says he pulled the trigger, but he was, they say, the shot caller. And under Nevada law, he can still be charged with murder.
Within the first few months of the investigation, our detectives knew most of the information I just briefed you on. However, we never had the necessary evidence to bring this case forward.
His own words, say investigators, were Keefy D's undoing. Killed. Suge Knight is also still alive, right now serving 28 years for manslaughter in an unrelated case. He's on the prosecution's witness list.
I ain't worried about I ain't
Well, I mean, that's what court's for, right?
Tupac died 6 days after he was shot. And now, nearly 30 years later, Keefy D gets his day in court.
Nick Watt, CNN, Los Angeles.
The long-awaited and much talked about trial for the murder of Tupac Shakur is finally getting underway in a Las Vegas courtroom. Jury selection set to begin this morning in just a bit of time here. Tupac Shakur was killed in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas nearly 30 years ago at the height of his career. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis is the only person ever charged in connection with his death. He has pleaded not guilty to 1 count of murder with the use of a deadly weapon. Now, Davis, who was arrested in 2023, is not actually being accused of pulling the trigger. He's not considered the gunman. Rather, prosecutors say he helped orchestrate the shooting, providing the gun to the gunman. Davis, as we mentioned, pleading not guilty now.
So what they got you for, man? Biggest case in Las Vegas history. Oh yeah? Yeah. Like recent? September 7th, 1996. I ain't worried about it. I ain't getting shit.
Joining me now, CNN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney Joey Jackson. That is one of the examples, before we get into this, one of the examples is whatever you say to the police can be recorded and used against you if you're read your Fifth Amendment rights. But before all that, they can use this if they wanted to, right?
Oh, without question, Sarah. Good morning to you. And interestingly enough, in this case, he is the best witness. He is the star witness in the case. Why? Because of the various statements that he's made regarding the case. You know, it's going to turn a lot on this 2008 proffer session that he had with law enforcement. Right. What is a proffer session? You usually go into those and law enforcement asks you questions, prosecutors do, and it doesn't see the light of day. You're given immunity. But in this instance, the argument is that he waived that immunity because he's made so many public statements with regard to his involvement, not only on podcasts and other areas of media. He's written a book with regard to that. And so the defense said, no, we don't want to let this in. But the judge said it can be let in and it will be let in. And it's important, Sarah, because what he said to the police, they're going to argue, prosecutors, that it corroborates his involvement and it corroborates his guilt. And as you noted at the outset, they didn't say he pulled the trigger, but you don't have to establish that, just that you aided, you abetted, you counseled, you encouraged, and that's what they're saying he did here.
And look, the other people who were under suspicion by police, one of whom was his relative, have all passed away. He is the only person sort of left in this scenario who's accused of being there that day and taking part in all this. I do want to ask you about the bigness of this case, because he is not wrong that this is one of the biggest cases ever in Las Vegas, because of who was killed and because of all of the rumors around who was responsible. There was this big feud going on between East and West Coast rappers, and that has just taken on a life of its own. Finding these 12 jurors, especially if they're of a certain age, they would know about this case. How difficult do you think that will be?
So always challenging, but certainly there are mechanisms in place for that. And what are those mechanisms? Remember, Sarah, that you can challenge. They'll probably get, I'm thinking, you need 12 jurors, of course, to sit in the box, but they'll likely get between 4 and 6 alternates in case someone gets sick. So when you're picking a jury, what happens is you're asking them questions. Do you know about the case? Do you have any opinions about the case? Do you know who Tupac was? Did you really admire him as a rapper? Do you think someone should be held accountable, even if the evidence doesn't establish it? You're going to ask all those questions. But when you're actually picking a jury, if a juror says they're biased, you can excuse them. It's called excusing for cause, and that's unlimited. But then there are these other challenges called peremptory challenges, in the weeds a little bit, but each side gets 8 of those, and you could excuse someone for any reason or no reason, as long as it's not predicated upon some type of racial reason, et cetera, for which you're excusing them. And so therefore, yes, of course, it'll be a challenge. I think they could get it done, because the main question is, even if you heard about the case, can you base a decision on the facts and the evidence or the circumstances in the courtroom, not what you read in the paper or saw anywhere else? So it's on, and it starts today.
Lastly, this happened almost 30 years ago. How difficult is it to bring a case like this with the idea that there is a book out there published by the person on trial, and there's a lot of comments, which a lot of people say, well, that's the reason why this is happening in the first place, because Dwayne Keefe D kept talking about it.
Yeah, so I think it's very challenging, right? I know we're in a day and age, certainly, where there are cold cases, and that's why there's no statute of limitations on murder. You could bring it 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, like here, or even more. And I think from a defense perspective, they're going to argue you don't have a weapon, you don't have the car, ballistics wasn't done on that, there's no forensics, there's no DNA, there are no living witnesses. What are we doing here? But remember, we'll end where we began, the statements of Keefe D. That's what we're doing here, will say prosecutors. And if those statements are credited and believed, then the defense has a problem. In the event that that's all they got, which the defense will argue, then that creates another story, perhaps reasonable doubt.
The judge letting it in because he kept talking about it.
Right.
Kept, as people say in the streets, talking smack. And then this ends up being part of his case. It'll be interesting to see if he himself testifies, because in some ways he's already testifying with the words that he has already used in public, right?
Exactly.
There is
he
a
says
lot.
he's not going
Right.
to testify,
Right.
but we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
For this case to go to trial. Now the man accused of orchestrating the 1996
Thank you. Sorry
murder
for that.
of one of hip-hop's most influential rappers, Tupac Shakur, will do just that. Jury selection is set to begin next hour in Las Vegas for the trial against Dwayne Kevin Davis, aka Keefe D, who was indicted in 2023 on the charge of murder with a deadly weapon. Investigators say they've gathered enough evidence against him to take the case to court, and much of it actually came from the now 63-year-old Davis himself. 25-year-old Tupac Shakur was killed in a drive-by shooting after a Mike Tyson boxing match on the Las Vegas Strip back in 1996. Shakur was at the height of his career, and his murder case has been the subject of a lot of conspiracy theories and ongoing public interest ever since, because it has never been fully resolved. CNN's Nick Watt takes a closer look at the history of this case, what exactly was happening in the East Coast, West Coast rap scene at the time, and how we got here.
Hey, Keith, Metro Police, come over here.
Dwayne Keith Davis, aka Keefe D, was arrested 3 years ago.
So what they got you for, man? Biggest case in Las Vegas history. Oh yeah?
The shooting, the killing of Tupac Shakur at a stoplight in Vegas late one night after a Mike Tyson fight nearly 30 years ago. Back then, many thought Tupac's death was down to the East Coast, West Coast rap rivalry that had flared up in the early 90s. Just 3 months before he was killed, Tupac released Hit 'Em Up, dissing and threatening his friend turned rival Biggie Smalls and other East Coast rappers.
West side, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but I your wife. We bust on bad boys for life.
Biggie was gunned down and killed 6 months after Tupac. No one has ever been charged with his murder. But here's what prosecutors will argue at Keefe D's trial.
The website you've got in your head, build it now with Base 44.
Davis, Keefe D's arrest.
As we all know, Tupac Shakur was a artist who was signed with Death Row Records. And that Death Row Records and its CEO, Marion Suge Knight, were closely affiliated with the Mob Piru criminal street gangs, and that they had an ongoing feud with the Southside Compton Crips. Dwayne Davis was the leader and shot caller of the Southside Compton Crips.
Members of both gangs were, say police, at the Tyson fight in the MGM Grand that night. And afterwards, in the lobby, Tupac, Knight, and others spotted Keefe D's nephew, Orlando Anderson, and beat him up.
Little did anyone know that it is this incident right here that would ultimately lead to the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac Shakur. Dwayne Davis began to devise a plan to obtain a firearm and retaliate against Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur for what occurred inside the hotel against Mr. Anderson.
Anderson, his uncle Keefe D, and 2 other men allegedly got into a white Cadillac and followed Knight and Tupac, who were in a black BMW en route to a club. Investigators allege it was Anderson who actually pulled the trigger.
Were you involved in any way in the death of Tupac Shakur?
No, I was not involved.
Anderson was shot and killed 8 months after that interview with CNN. Keefe D is the only man who was in that white Cadillac who is still alive. He's now 63. No one says he pulled the trigger, but he was, they say, the shot caller. And under Nevada law, he can still be charged with murder.
Within the first few months of the investigation, our detectives knew most of the information I just briefed you on. However, we never had the necessary evidence to bring this case forward.
His own words, say investigators, were Keefe D's undoing.
Specifically, Dwayne Davis's own admissions to his involvement in this homicide investigation that he provided to numerous different media outlets.
He described the moment, he says, he handed Anderson, who he calls Lane, a gun, while riding in the white Cadillac. It's in audio featured in the documentary Murder Rap, inside the Biggie and Tupac murders.
I gave it to Dre, and Dre was like, no. And Lane's like, you, Pop.
But in July, Keefe D denied being involved in the killings, telling a Las Vegas news station he wasn't even in Nevada when Tupac was killed. Suge Knight is also still alive, right now serving 28 years for manslaughter in an unrelated case. He's on the prosecution's witness list.
I ain't worried about it. I ain't
Well, I mean, that's what court's for, right?
Tupac died 6 days after he was shot. And now, nearly 30 years later, Keefe D gets his day in court.
Nick Watt, CNN, Los Angeles.
What y'all think, man? Y'all think Keefe D did it, man? No, he pulled back and no, he pulled back and recanted his statement, but shit, man. Like I say, 30 years, man. 30 years is a long time. And who knows what type of evidence or you know what I'm saying, what type of distortion has been put, you feel me, or brought in on this case. Like, this shit crazy, bro. And why the fuck did it? I want to know why it take 30 years. What was the purpose of this trial taking 30 years for y'all to come to some type of conclusion about what happened to this man? 30 years? 30 years? And again, like, I know he, he recanted, said woo up the bam or whatever the case may be. But damn, what's the time limit on that? Like, god damn. This shit crazy, man. This shit is crazy. So supposedly they had a jury selection. I don't know how that went, or if, you know what I'm saying, if it was, I just don't know. Don't know. Apparently they showed it earlier. I ain't been able to find the footage of it, you feel me? To get it to you guys. But when it come out, of course, you know what I'm saying, they're gonna make it public in a minute. We will be, you know what I'm saying, checking out the court case and what's going on inside of that. And I don't think that brother gonna, you know what I'm saying? As soon as he get up on that stand, man, he gonna say he gonna keep I don't know what happened. Ain't no telling. And then, they trying to link the P. Diddy shit with him supposed to be giving up $1 million. And somebody saying they didn't receive the money or they did receive the money or whatever the case may be. And then, you know what I'm saying? Now, and what I want to know, since Diddy is in the feds, when he come out, are they going to, you know what I'm saying, push a case against him, or are they going to try to attach him, you know what I'm saying, to this Tupac murder, even the Biggie murder as well? Because, I done heard things about, you know what I'm saying, and again, I'm not saying that these things are true, but we done heard things about him being part of the, you know what I'm saying, Christopher Wallace murder as well. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy. Hold on, y'all. I got one more, and then we get up out of here. One more video on this Tupac Jones.
We're on for 3 motions. Let's start with the motion to sequester the jury. Mr. Stamp, did you want to be heard any further on that motion?
I mean, it's an unusual request in this jurisdiction with regards to sequestering any jury, but due to the level of media attention that we have on it, the fear and danger is that the individuals go home at night and listen to commentary, maybe not directly, but through family members, something along those lines. So we're always concerned about that. That's why we talk.
I think sequestration worked pretty well when not everyone had a phone, but did absolutely everything in their lives attached to them. I don't know how
So
we
this
could
is
separate
supposedly
jurors
what
from
went
their own
down in the
concerns
courtroom
there.
today,
You
y'all.
have to take them essentially to accomplish the goals of sequestration that you're laying out. Additionally,
Shout out to Law and
if we
Crime.
did that, then
Shout out to
they'd be
CNN
alone,
News and all other
hotel room,
sources
no
that I
phones, away from
use.
their daily routines, probably watching TV, which would then have coverage. So my concern is that sequestration might actually not resolve any of the issues that we have. But I do understand the concerns while jurors are in the building, that there may be communication with people, so we could do some sort of like partial sequestration while they're in the building, going kind of to the back for lunches and things like that.
And we have talked about it with the state that if, a full, how do you pronounce it, sequestration?
Yeah.
If that's not going to be granted, that yes, absolutely, maybe accommodating jurors through the back elevators so they're not in the hallways coming up towards the courthouse would be a way to sort of protect them while they're in and out of the building.
Yeah.
And maybe have lunch for them in the jury room type thing. The other thing I was going to
We've
raise.
reached out to another department that did that in a case, I think, last year, and so to get some guidelines on how that worked.
Yeah, that was going to be our position as to, we've done a lot of high profiles and that's it. It's like a daily sequestration, but they have to go home at night. The only other thing I was going to suggest is, as it relates to jury selection, once we go through some of the hardships and all that other stuff, it may be best in this particular case to do individual sequestered while you're with the jurors themselves, so that when one juror discusses their knowledge of it, we don't have to deal with that situation. I don't know if the court wants to address that after you ask who here has heard about this case, or if you want to just do it up front and make that decision.
So I think very valid concerns. I think we can talk about maybe how we're going to handle that, but I do think it makes sense maybe when people raise their hand that they've talked about it, to take those people individually and see if how much they've heard about it instead, without affecting the rest of the jury with their knowledge. So it might be sequestered for kind of that answer. I don't know. I'll take some suggestions from the parties, but what are your thoughts on that, Mr. Stamp?
I had dinner last night with a professor from BYU who's 73 years old, and he heard of Tupac, which once again, I would have bet no, but 30 years ago, he was 40. So it makes sense that when you were 40, so I think we're going to get the same problem. Everyone at some point will raise their hand because they're going to be familiar with something to do with this particular trial, whether it's his music, whether it's some of the other individuals that would be named by the state as potential witnesses in this case. They would have knowledge about that. So I think we cross that bridge when we get there.
I anticipate larger panels than usual, multiple days of large panels, and probably a lot of people that maybe ultimately cannot be fair in the situation and are excused because of their either knowledge or interest in the case, or some sort of issue with that. But I think we're all kind of aware of that. It seems like you've got some thoughts as well.
I think it's just because of the nature of this case. I think we're all on high alert as to how this case is going to proceed forward. That would give us a fair and impartial jury, right? So I think we're all on the same page as to that particular detention. It's not just a matter of how we're going to make that happen. So, having a jury of 100 potential people on a panel and individually plugging them might be a problem just because of the time issues here in the streets. I don't know the court's position.
Sure. We won't be able to ask them if these.
It's one of the best questions ever asked. I think that's true.
Anyway, I think what I see doing is when people raise their hand that they've heard about it, we'll ask that question individually, but not the entire voir dire, because I think, as I've seen, you pick a jury, you pick a jury. There's a lot of building that goes on the other questions, but the questions about the victim, if people know them, or people know this situation, I think need to be outside presence. I agree with everybody.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So denied in part, or denied as to full sequestration, granted in part as to part of partial sequestration, which we can all work out a little closer to the date. The next motion that I have on calendar would be the motion to suppress.
Your Honor, due to the fact that we filed a very lengthy motion to suppress this matter, I'm going to rely on my notes and just let the court know. I don't know the last time I've done this voluntarily, so be in front of the court like this. But I think the issue here that we have with regards to what we filed is that the statements that were made by Mr. Davis in 2008 and 2009, we're arguing here that it's not an issue of immunity, which was covered.
And if he don't know last time he done this, I don't think he should be up there doing this.
before by previous counsel. This is an issue now as to voluntariness.
Right, and I did see that in the opposition, they were kind of arguing, this is what I think that Mr. Champion was arguing, but it seemed like you were focusing on voluntariness, because that's what you want to really focus on.
Right, because those are the things that have now been developed during our review of the discovery in the matter. And what we're talking specifically about are interviews that were conducted of people that were either present during the interviews with Mr. Davis in 2008 and or 2009, and with regards to Detective Moggs' efforts afterwards in terms of his interviews with people and what they believed to be something that they couldn't get into because of their knowledge of what was going on during that time period.
Okay, so then when we're talking voluntariness, first we're saying Miranda doesn't exist, or we just is this a custodial interrogation, and then we're moving into kind of these common factors.
Correct. Now, I think, and I want to make sure in terms of the motion that was filed by the state, the issue I think that we have here is that the position the state I think is taking is okay because Mr. Davis allegedly lied, that somehow the proffer does not cover. He does not have the benefit of the protection of the proffer because of the fact that allegedly he's lied in this matter. The issue that we have with that is that, first of all, we cite to Rogers v. Richmond, which is 365 U.S. 534. And this is on pages 543 to 544. That, in essence, the Supreme Court has mentioned that, hey, the trial judge should focus on the question of whether or not the behavior of law enforcement officers was such to overbear a defendant's will to resist and bring about confessions not freely determined, and not necessarily because of the fact that they're, whether he lied or not. The idea behind it is that when an individual goes forward, he's in a room, he's with law enforcement, does he lie or not? It sort of doesn't matter. That's not the analysis here that was offered in Rogers. In addition to that, with regards to inconsistent statements or defenses, we can offer inconsistent defenses, which is, we cite here to Matthews v. U.S., and this is 485, U.S. 58, as well as U.S. v. Dema. And what I mean by that is that, we have, due process requires us as defense to have a meaningful opportunity to present every available defense, even if defenses tend to be contradictory to one another. And that happens all the time in cases where you say, well, we don't think he was here, but if he was here, he was acting in self-defense, something along those lines. And I think the court can understand that issue. To me, the other part of the problem here is the idea that, hey, we waive the privilege because we voluntarily disclosed. The state points out NRS 4949385 to talk specifically about this idea of privileges and so forth. But the problem is that the privileges aren't applicable in this particular case. It's not a privilege in terms of, say, attorney and client. This is an individual who's in a room with other people. And so with regards to the analysis under NRS 49.385, it's an inapplicable argument because it doesn't apply to this particular scenario and fact base. In fact, I think the interesting thing about this case for everyone that's concerned is that there's a lot of ideas here that may end up being things of first impression. I mean, trying to find case law that fits and provides some type of direction on this particular issue it's not out there. There's no case on point. There's no issue with regard to the Supreme Court, the United States or Nevada that really sort of lends any type of real direction.
Man, he don't even know what he's talking about.
I think at the end of the day, one of the things here is comparing what they're arguing to Diaz versus 8th Judicial District Court, which is 160.
Man, he don't even know what he's talking about, man. He sounds so confused and baffled. But look, that's the type of shit that you go through when you up in them courtrooms. So look at the judge. The judge like, huh? What?
See Nevada.
And then on top of that, how much information? Because I'm pretty sure she looked pretty. Well, she might not be that young, but how much information, or do she even have to go look up the case or previous cases and shit like that? Man, this is gonna be a trial.
88. The Nevada Supreme Court held that the waiver statute does not apply to privilege in that particular case with regard to news shield statutes. And that was a case in which a journalist does not have to waive any rights. This the Tupac stuff, bro. If they do publish. And so as a result, we're also arguing that it's the only direction that we have right now with regards to how the Nevada Supreme Court has viewed that particular issue. No Nevada Supreme Court or U.S. Supreme Court cases directly address the proffer issue. with regard to a promise or inducement to render a confession involuntary. The voluntariness of confession is determined by the totality of circumstances. I cite to Arizona v. Fulminante, which is 499 U.S. 279. And I'm going to quote to it. It says, a defendant's confession is like no other evidence. It is probably the most probative and damaging evidence that could be admitted against them. And if it is a full confession, a jury may be tempted to rely on it alone in reaching its decision, while some statements by a defendant may concern isolated aspects of the crime or may be incriminating only when linked to other evidence. A full confession, in which the defendant discloses the motive for.
Basically, goddammit, I was under duress when I said I did it.
Or a means of the crime may tempt the jury to rely upon that evidence alone in reaching its decision. There should be a huge red flag of extreme caution to the court with regards to admitting that kind of information in 2008, 2009. And that is, once again, Arizona v. Fulminante, 499 U.S. 279. We have a situation here where it's a 30-year-old case. It's a multi-jurisdictional case. There's a lot of things that were done in secret, and it's messy. The question is, at the end of the day, whose fault is that? Obviously, we're not law enforcement. We're the defense. Mr. Davis is a citizen wandering around in his life doing his thing. And in the meantime, as this is happening behind the scenes and under the table and in the water, there is movement, planning, things that are happening, discussions that are taking place to try to figure out, okay, how do we resolve this issue? And the problem is that if we keep Mr. Davis as someone that's responsible for this, for the messiness of this case, for that kind of thing, I think we have a huge issue, because I don't think it's his responsibility. We focus a little bit on this idea of, during the course of the time that he's meeting with these people, is that they threaten him. I don't know if the court received the thumb drives with the audio. Did you get a chance to review it? Okay. We gave that to the state as well. But with regard to the communication that's happening during this time period, it's pretty clear that Mr. Davis is being threatened. There's an understanding here during the time period that while he's in.
Are you referring to the Los Angeles or the Las Vegas?
Damn, he can't sit down. He got to stand up through this whole motherfucking trial. Man, I'll be mad. I'll be mad at the motherfucker, man. I won't let me sit down. God damn.
So the 2008 would be the proffer that did not include Las Vegas Metropolitan Police. The 2009 is the meeting that Las Vegas had come down.
So when you're talking about threats, are you referring to getting in 2008?
This would be the 2008.
Okay.
Real quick, chat, talking about some cruel and inhumane, bro. You gonna make me stand up, bro? Like, come on, bro. They've been talking for like motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, y'all gonna make me stand up this whole fucking time, bro? Listen, kids. And you grown motherfuckers, man. This right here is a long, like, just to have to be in the courtroom and listen to this bullshit, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? To have this shit you don't even understand, right? Just in your mind, knowing that this is some of the shit that you got to go through, bro. This should be enough to keep you motherfuckers from not doing anything. Real shit, bro. Look at this man, bro. He got shackles around his motherfucking waist, going down his motherfucking leg, bro, because he probably shackled at his ankles, bro. And he shackled, goddammit, around his you know what I'm saying, his wrist. You feel me? Like, bro. And then I got to stand up. Come on, man. And then listen to some shit that I don't even know what the fuck they talking about. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Don't do crime.
And Detective Kading is one who mentions that, who talks specifically about it. And so let me just go through that part as well. The idea of Detective Kading, I think, is another problem. Now, Detective Kading, according to what the state has filed in their opposition, is that he's a private citizen, which I don't know. Maybe that was a mistype. It's pretty clear, Detective. You give me a look. Is that because?
No, you're fine.
I think at the end of the day that the idea of Detective Kading being a private citizen and somehow, and once again, this is in their motion. This is page 18. They say the following: Nevada exercised no coercive police activity against the defendant in connection to the 2008 proffer. No Nevada officer interrogated him. No Nevada officer threatened him. No Nevada officer made any promise to him. The Kading assurance came from a federal task force detective operating under a federal proper arrangement to which Nevada was not a party. Connolly, which is the case that we cite here, that they cite, forecloses the defense's claim regardless of how the sum factor analysis is framed, because the constitutional predicate for finding of involuntariness is entirely absent from this record. The only violation of his agreement was not by the government, but by a private citizen. And the only private citizen that we know that actually disclosed what happened in the 2008 meeting prior to a publication of a book or an interview done on a podcast or a series was Detective Katie. And so in essence, if that's what we're talking about here, maybe what they're saying is something else. But to me, the idea of a private citizen, if that's referring back to Detective Katie or anybody else for that matter, I think that that's erroneous. The law with regards to hack, which is what the state has relied on in their opposition. It's under the Second Circuit, it's 884 F3rd 400. It's not binding legal authority. Now, it is still distinguishable in this case because even though Hack, the defendant in that case, was not in custody, detectives advised them of his Miranda. If you look at our case as a whole in the totality, there's no proof at all. There's no recording, there's no discussion about Mr. Davis ever being Mirandized prior to giving any statement at all. See, but that's the problem with the analysis in terms of him being free to leave. If the analysis is he could have just walked in and said, hey guys, and then do whatever, walk out, sure.
But then it wouldn't have helped with his other situations. So
Correct. So now you have that problem of, hey, if you leave, we're just going to arrest you on a drug charge, and we're going to arrest all your entire family. We're going to arrest everyone that's involved in this, and then now here you are. So, was he free to leave? No.
Correct, but he's also got his attorney, which, as we know from order, it's the second thing they say, that you have the right attorney silent, and you have the right to an attorney. He has that attorney there, so it's not really this naive big who can be overcome by these coercive techniques of the officers.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, once again, look, I could have been sitting next to Mr. Davis back in 2008, and if I know at that particular point, what's on the table is, if you leave the room, we're going to arrest you for drugs. What's my advice to my client? I mean, to me, at that particular point, it's like, hey, man, you got to do what's best for you and your family. You choose your path and where you want to go. And so as a result, once again, is that custodial? I think it is, because in essence, he cannot leave because the threat is, you leave, we charge you and your entire family for drugs. That would be our position on that. Now, in addition to that, the other case that was cited by the state is Colorado v. Conley, which is 107 Supreme Court 515. The Supreme Court there held that, first of all, number one, of course, if police activity is a necessary predicate to determine whether a confession is not voluntary. Two, that the statements made by the defendant when he approached police and stated he wanted to confess to a murder and then did so after receiving his Miranda could be admitted without violation of due process because of his mental health. And then three, whether or not the state bears the burden of proof in a motion to suppress a statement already obtained by violation of the Miranda doctrine, the state only needs to provide proof waiver by preponderance of the evidence. Now, the idea behind that one is that it still doesn't fit the fact pattern in this case. That's why we're going back to the first problem, which is there's no precedence. There's nothing here to sort of say, hey, we have a framework, we have a previous situation that we can sort of use as direction in this particular case. In addition to that is that, in Connolly, for instance, Miranda still was given. So even though it may have been late, even though the defendant in that case sort of admitted to the crime 5 minutes before being Mirandized, Miranda was a big part of the court's analysis in that particular case as well. So yes, even though client might be sitting next to attorney in the middle of a meeting, the process of the Miranda still takes place. There is still an advisement of the person that, hey, we're going to have a conversation here, and it might be against your interests. Now, is it up to the defense attorney to lean over? By the way, hey, you've got a right to be silent. No, it's the responsibility of the law enforcement officers in that room to give that announcement to the client, which in this case didn't happen. And it goes back again to this idea of just being sort of like,
well, he's not their client. He's the client of their attorney.
oh, no, I'm sorry. Maybe I rephrased that wrong, but they're in there specifically for one purpose and intention. There should have been at least the idea of a Miranda. I don't know if that's this or not, but so on YouTube, I get a lot of YouTube reviews now. One of the YouTube things I look at, for some reason, the algorithms give me this, is police arrests for some reason. And every single time, they will immediately default back to the Miranda. Why? Because they need to cover that basis. Even if it's premature, whatever the case is, they want to make sure that whatever is going to happen here does not violate that Miranda right. And I think in this particular regard, you had some very educated people in that room. You had FBI, you had DEA, you had Compton Police, you had LAPD, you had a United States Attorney allegedly in that room as well. And those people should have at least pointed out, hey, just to cover all of our bases, let's just make sure this happened. And it didn't happen.
And in your research, you were not able to find a similar situation where this situation.
Here's the best part about this. Yes, and here's the best part about this. At the end of the day, this is going to be a case that more than likely will be whatever is going to happen at the end of the day. This will be sort of that case. It will end up being the case in which the extent of how Miranda is used and the idea of when someone's
Or won't. So we have to make this decision on this trial looks like.
Oh, of course, absolutely. But I'm just saying at the end of the day, with regards to this particular question would be the question, the driving question here. If it does end up having to be revisited by an appellate court in the future.
Sure.
I just think that when we have a situation where you have multiple times MOG interviewing different people and everyone agreeing that, hey, yeah, we can't touch this, we can't get into this, we can't discuss this. Kading in the interview of this 2008 interrupts and says basically to Mr. Davis, what is said right here cannot be used against you, Keefe. Nothing you say today can be used against you, so don't even worry about it. And this is in a room with all these other detectives and people that at least at some point somebody should have said, I don't know, we're going to run into a problem. Nothing like that happens in this case. We also identify in the recording as well, that it was a discussion here with Detective Long. And his idea of this is like, he said, this is like an informal meeting. He's trying to get information. This is Higgins talking to the defendant. Now, once again, would I have said something like that? But people are telling my client, hey, this is not a big deal. We just want to get information. Then Long says in his discussion directly with Davis, you understand that? All I want to gather is some information. I have absolutely no intent of arresting you today. When things are happening here and then all of a sudden it's clear on the recording that Mr. Davis is uncomfortable with the line of questioning and he wants to have a conversation, for some reason, we still have the recording take place as there's a confidential conversation between the attorney and his client. But in that, Mr. Davis asks the question, can I talk to D-Boy, meaning to Dupree? Detective Long steps out, and then Dupree says, hey, yeah, you know what? Whatever you told us, it will stay consistent with what you told us. And then he basically says, look, I need for it to stay with it, meaning I need to stay with what the agreement was. Everyone is under this impression. And the problem is, though, this is coming from interviews conducted with these officers after the fact. When Davis later says, I say whatever I tell them. The problem is, though, is that it's pretty clear that Mr. Davis is not comfortable with with being in the situation. He's not clear as to what's going on. And the question then is asked, is it the defense attorney's fault? Or is it the law enforcement officers who should be saying, hey, I want to make sure we're clear here, Mirandize this man, or inform, let him know what's going on with this case. When you listen to the recordings again, it says, over and over again, it's like, the question is it confidentially covered, right? Yeah, and they said you cannot be charged on it. There's conversations between Mr. Davis and his attorney. Later on, when Detective Mogg interviews, he says that that Detective Dan Long came down to the area and is speaking with Mr. Kading. He said, Dan,
shut the fuck up. Don't say nothing. Let them do their job.
Dan Long came down and interviewed Davis under this proffer, so none of this stuff can I use in any way, shape, or form. So Detective Mogg at some point starts saying, look, hey, I also can't use any of this stuff. And it's not like he's getting a lot of pushback from anybody. Kading responds in his interview with Mogg and says, with the proffer, everyone understood it was a proffer agreement. Everyone understood it was a proffer.
Hey, boys, what up? Hey, where you at, boys? Let me know where you
this
at.
was a verbal agreement between Higgins, who is now dead, and Tim Seawright, who was the
Hey, boys, let me know what state you in so I can come out there and let you know I'm there, man. Let me
United
know.
States Attorney that was present in that meeting. 4 investigators sat in on the multiple proffer sessions or interviews with his attorney, with Davis's attorney, and everybody understood it to be a proffer. The MOG continues to ask questions, and it's clear that
Hey, what you say, Bloody? He say, hell no, don't free Keefy D, and I hope he snitches on everyone involved. Oh, shit,
MOG's
man.
understanding of what's going on is based upon the idea when he later says, and this is in the recording again between MOG and Detective Kading, everyone thought initially this was a written proffer agreement, but now it's even more afraid than anything I could have imagined. There's no way, because they can bring that into court, and that would
Hit that like button, family. Hit that like button
That's
for me.
Detective MOG talking to Detective Kading. Detective Kading responds to that statement and
Like
says, from
the
a
video,
prosecution
man.
standpoint, you
I'm up
kind
the
of go
video,
into this knowing
man.
the
Like
proffer
the
will be suppressed.
man.
Anyways,
I'm up
just on
the
the
video,
nature, that's
man.
the purpose of the proffer, is to not use it. So even if they suppressed it, I wouldn't imagine they're going to try to use it anyways. And then Detective MOG responds and says, my whole thing is to try and put the whole case together without any of the information that
Hit
could
that like button, y'all. Come on, man. Let's get 25 likes. Come on, come on. We got 18 people in the building. Let's go. Get them likes up.
Now, one of the questions I think that's been asked here is why would he give a proffer? Why would Mr. Davis have this conversation? Detective Kading explains it to Detective MOG and says, the beginning of this whole thing with Davis and how we're trying to set him up was we developed Dirt Rock as an informant. We began buying kilos and PCP until we could meet the threshold that the United States Attorney wanted for a minimum mandatory sentencing. We wanted to get as much leverage as we could, which would have been a life case for narcotics based upon his prior convictions. And so that's what we did. We just started to work up the dope case and got to the threshold that Tim Seawright, once again, the United States Attorney, wanted.
So y'all trying to build up, so basically y'all trying to build up another case and say, all right, we got you for this. So, and then we think you linked into that. So goddamn it, you got to give us what you know about the bed. This is crazy, y'all.
And then approached KPD and said, here's the deal. I don't know how that's involuntary. When you have Detective Kading, who's present, who's there, who's meeting and having a very private conversation with Detective MOG and is explaining things the way he recalls it, that's not voluntary.
So that's 2008.
Yes.
Another statement, 2009.
Yes, I'll get to the 2009, Your Honor. This is like a 40-page motion that,
40 pages? You're just gonna read to me?
you know, I'm just billing per the hour, and so I think every page is at least 5 hours.
Do whatever you want. I'm just curious as to, I completely understand. Like, listen, you're saying, you hear the beginning of the statement. Law enforcement says, this isn't gonna be used against you in any way. And now they're saying, listen, let the jury hear it. I get that. I get how the difficulty of it. Now we're in 2009. We're into this, and that's a situation. I know Las Vegas doesn't have necessarily any proffers contract between two parties, and Vegas isn't one of the parties. So it's a contract that doesn't necessarily exist with that involved in it. However, now we're talking about 2009. How do we get that?
So I think the problem is that when you look at it from the viewpoint of, I mean, did Compton and LAPD really hate Las Vegas Metro to the point where they just weren't going to disclose any of this information? That they wouldn't have said, hey, we met with this man. This man is saying that he knew some information about the murder of Tupac Shakur. And as a result, you know.
Yeah, and you know, I heard about this too, like how other departments don't like other departments and stuff like that and shit. But I mean, to bring that into a case like this though is crazy.
This is what's going on. That somehow they just kept all of that from Metro. I don't know, because to me the inaction of what happens next is the problem. 2008, there's no movement by the Clark County District Attorney's Office, which would indicate to me one of two things: either they didn't know about the proffer, or an alternative, they knew about the proffer and chose not to do anything about it because of what you're seeing now from all these different people that Detective MOG had interviewed, and that is, it's a proffer, we're going to stay away from it. Now, here's the thing. Say it's the second problem, and the second problem is they weren't notified. 2009 comes along, and what happens? Las Vegas Metro goes and interviews with Mr. Davis. They are no longer in the position where they can say, hey, we didn't know anything about this. They're meeting with Mr. Davis, they sit down with him, he gives his statement, he answers their questions, and they leave. What happens after that in terms of the Clark County District Attorney's Office? Nothing. if there was this discussion or disagreement, like, hey guys, that was your agreement. The proffer was between your parties, between the state of California and the federal government and Compton and LAPD. That would have worked for 2008. But what happened in 2009? So to me, when you hear what these attorneys or these investigators and detectives are talking about, is that there was an understanding that, hey, that covered it. Now, why would a detective go down and speak with this individual in 2009? To ask questions and clean up the file, to follow up on loose leads, to figure out where everyone was at or do whatever the case was in this particular case. That's why you would do it. Not to go down there and see if you can arrest the guy, but rather to say, hey, you know what? He's got the information. Let's finish up this file. To me, the 2009, Mogg is the one who really talks and really sort of indicates this. He says, he told Detective Ladd, we even sent a detective out here in 2009 who interviewed Davis with his attorney, and the LA detectives told me that, yeah, everybody was under the impression that that was still under this proffer, so I can't use any of it. What does that mean? Detective Mogg takes over the case in 2017. He knew about this particular person going down and meeting with Mr. Davis in 2009. And even he believed at that particular point that the proffer still covered whatever the interview was between Detective Long and my client. So that's the 2009 issue. Once again, we just believe that the statements made at the time of the meeting 2008 and 2009 were involuntary. It's not a matter of this immunity issue. I think it goes more fundamental to that. And that is, when you're given a statement like this, you're forced into a position because you're afraid of the consequences of saying no. And the consequences of what was happening here wasn't necessarily because Mr. Davis was afraid for himself, but rather the threats that were made against his family and his friends that was built up over time. Detective Kading agreed to that and said, yeah, we built up this case and we got him to a position. Now, when he's talking about building up to the sentencing guidelines, in the federal system, there are mandatory minimum sentences, and you have to accumulate over time. There's an objection you can make as a defense attorney. It's called sentencing enhancement. You basically wait until the amounts that are accumulating gets to a mandatory minimum 10 years, whatever the case is. That's what he's talking about. So they literally just sat and waited, and they just accumulated more and more information until they got Mr. Davis in a position where he was afraid, like I said, not only just for himself, but for his family. And that's our position with regards to the 2008 and 2009. I hope I did my motion justice. But with regards to the last issue, and that is the Compton, the book. What's interesting about the discovery that we received in this case is that we received an interview that Detective Mogg, I guess it's Mr. Mogg now, had done just recently. I don't want to say it was in the last like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that, where the individual that's named in the book next to Keefe D or Dwayne Davis, Keefe D is what is on the cover of the book, is this person named Yusuf. The interesting thing about that is because Detective Mogg, for some reason, never made an effort to interview this person prior to submitting this case to the grand jury in 2023. Which you would think is sort of common practice. It's sort of commonsensical. It's what you would do because you got a name on a book, and then you also got another name as somebody who also wrote the book. And as a result, you've got two different people on there. Why not interview both people before reading the book into the record? Because it's not like he testified and said, this is what I do, and the book was part of it. He read excerpts of the book as if it was the gospel truth into the record on the grand jury.
What's going on, Jimmy,
so
man? Yeah, man. This is what we get.
Look, he finally goes and meets with the other writer, but the writer is not giving him the information that he wants. He's not saying, hey, I just received whatever Mr. Davis sent to me on an email. I just put it in the book whenever I did something.
No, listen, Jimmy. Yeah, I listen. I know, man. Listen, man. Everybody gotta, you feel me, right to voice their opinion. You feel me? I let it rock. It don't bother me, man. You know what I'm saying? It really don't bother me, man. You be amazed at some of the comments and some of the things that, you know what I'm saying, people say in the chat. You know what I'm saying? And they do this to get a rouse out of the chat or to get a rouse out of the person just running the content or the host or the creator or whatever the case may be. I just try to, say I see it and then I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? But mods though, man, and mods, if y'all feel as though it's a little bit too much, you know what I'm saying, my mods, you know what I'm saying, they know how to get them up out of here, mods. If y'all anybody, you feel me, being disrespectful to anybody, or you feel me, the people don't like, you know what I'm saying, what's being said or what's being, you know, going on in the chat, mods reserve all rights to get them up out of here.
Wrong, he would correct me. It's not that conversation. No. What the conversation is about is like, hey, you know, it's this idea that, hey, in the book, he sort of made it up. And I'm not talking about Mr. Davis. I'm talking about this other person named Yusuf. So to me,
see, now I didn't see, and again, you know, I don't so I be on other channels, but you know what I'm saying, Jimmy, I don't be like really into the comments and what, you know what I'm saying. I try to, you know, stay focused more on the content. You know, sometimes I do see crazy comments in the chat, but you know, I mean, now that you're making it aware that, well, making us aware over here that he be in other channels doing that, you feel me? You know, I value everybody that takes the time out to come and view and, you know, take the time out their day to, you know what I'm saying, participate in the comment, participate in the chats. So I will get them up out of here, brother.
Well, I mean, doesn't that disregard every single promotion of that book by your client?
you know, the problem with the promotions are,
Yeah.
you don't raise your hand to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth when you give your promotion. You don't sit there at, you know, in BET in the middle of this, you know, 6-part documentary and you say, you know what, I'm going to tell the truth today. Now, you do expect to tell the truth. And what people do expect is that when you're questioned by law enforcement, that you are telling the truth when you're being asked questions about some investigation, right? There's an inference there that you are going to tell the truth there. But to a documentary and a promotion of a book, to me, the problem with the analysis is on some levels that we're putting way too much credence and value and weight on statements that are made for entertainment purposes only. Not a confession to a priest, not a confession to a police officer, but rather to promote a book, to sell a product. And that's where we're at with it.
I think you used a really interesting word when you said the weight to get this, right? I mean, I don't know that there's necessarily a legal basis to keep this out, to keep the book out entirely, or admissibility. I think all of your arguments that you've argued about Mr. Yukja and how this book was written and how it's composed, maybe go to weight. What weight the jury should assign it as opposed to a legal admissibility issue.
Yes, Sean.
Okay.
And I think ultimately, just with regards to the motion, we do label out other parts of it, and just to get to the point at the end, you know, once again, I think we have a huge problem here if we're going to say, look, his words in 2008, 2009, even based upon what these other detectives were saying that were present, people who understood what was going on during that time period, this was a proper, all those things, I think on some level, all of a sudden now the state wants to say, well, we weren't party to that, but you were party in 2009. And on top of it too, it's law enforcement. I don't understand how that wouldn't be a thing with regard to each state honoring the efforts of other law enforcement with regard to their investigation, even if it's about the same thing. Maybe that's another issue that will go up on appeal, and that would be a different issue that would be decided with regards to new case law. I don't know. I just know at the end of the day, what we have here is we have an individual that gave an involuntary confession, who gave an involuntary statement because he was threatened. It's clear from the record, it's clear from the interviews with these previous detectives that was the issue, especially from Detective Katie, and as a result, we will be asking the court to suppress the 2008 and 2009 interviews and the book.
Okay. Turning to the state. It's the voluntariness argument. I think the voluntariness framework is what was really raised here. And I think the issue is sort of morphed into that of essentially when you're told this will never be used against you, that's possible. That's very coercive, and that's essentially renders it involuntary. But that really only essentially applied to the 2008. Did you want to be heard about all of the issues that Mr. Sanders brought up?
Yeah, and just briefly, because obviously the book is admissible, the number of information, but I also think they're taking a lot of liberties with what the author said about the book. But the book is central to almost every other argument.
So you start with the book and work backwards.
Yes. If you notice, and I don't know if the court's read the entire book, we've given
I read these
segments of it before. And maybe we should supply the court an entire copy of the book, because you'll have a better understanding of all of the facts that are discussed within that book and how the trial will proceed and questions. We were actually going to file a motion limiting on what portions of the book the court is going to admit or not admit, although it becomes really interesting when a defendant is going to disclaim authorship of the book. We should be able to establish every fact he says in there, but there are some very prejudicial things that he says within there that are true, but maybe more prejudicial than appropriate. But that being said, this issue is right now authentication, I guess, is the really what they're arguing. And obviously, as the court notes, he adopted it by admission, whether he wrote it or not. So to me, the 2009 aspect, or sorry, the 2018 book, 19 book, really isn't in dispute here. The court's already sort of assessed the 2009 one, and I know that Mr. Samp said, well, what did the DAs know or not know back in 2009, and that should somehow be held against us. But the court, in the motion for immunity, reviewed, I didn't put Dan Long's affidavit, but also I did put Detective Mogg's affidavit in here. In 2009, nobody from Las Vegas could understand the circumstances of that situation. And look, I don't know if you need me to address police officers aren't lawyers, but clearly police officers aren't lawyers, but might there have been a reason for Detective Mogg to have investigated this case without ever reviewing the 2009 case statement? The grand jury presentment being done without the 2009 statement, because at the time, we still didn't know what the circumstances were, and ultimately, we now do know what the circumstances are. And the only thing that matters is what Mr. Davis understood when he was in that room. And the only person who knows the situation in that room as to exactly the legal consequences of this conversation is the guy who negotiated the agreement with the federal government in 2008, Wayne Higgins. And if you read the transcript, you will see that Mr. Davis makes no inculpatory admission sufficient to charge him with a conspiracy in the crime. And when Detective Long begins to ask him questions about that, Mr. Davis asks to have a meeting. And I know Mr. Sam said, I don't know why they were still recording, but there's still a cop in the room while that conversation is going on. So it's not a privileged communication. And what the lawyer tells him is, hey, you got to be a little fuzzy on some of these facts, because that guy out there wants to put a case on you. He can arrest you for murder. So you can't be telling him specifics. And Detective Dupree says, but you can't lie, because that'll vitiate your agreement with the federal government. And so Davis makes the decision to talk to Dan Long. Now, why he made that decision or not isn't the issue. The issue that they're raising is voluntariness. He's not in custody. No promise has been made to him concerning that statement. And he clearly understands that the statements being made against him are going to subject him to a criminal prosecution for murder. And he's being told that by his lawyer. So 2009 is obviously admissible. Now you get to 2008. And look, your initial gut reaction from the content of the conversation in 2008 is, this shouldn't be admissible. But then you ask yourself legally, why isn't it admissible? So, voluntariness.
My knee-jerk reaction is because Detective Hayden goes out and says, this won't ever be used against you in any way, Keefe.
Correct. Yeah. But that doesn't make the statement involuntary unless the promise is broken, and then there is still an analysis. And
let's talk about the broken promise.
Yes.
Because that's a bit of a,
right,
an interesting needle you're trying to thread here.
And I was going to get to that, okay. Right? And it's because Mr. Samp asked, why didn't we do anything in 2009? Well, we also didn't do anything in 2011 when Mr. Former Detective Kading writes this book, right? We didn't use it against Mr. Davis in 2011, or when the tape is released later on that year to the documentary done by Mike Dorsey. That statement is, we didn't go, oh, we're going to run down here, we're going to arrest you, we're going to use the 2008 statement. That didn't happen either. But from a legal analysis, his argument is it's involuntary, Judge, not that a promise was broken in a contract. He's arguing that it's involuntary, that essentially saying that there was some sort of coercion to him. He got arrested and was subject to prosecution for a life sentence from the federal government for PCP and a kilo of cocaine. He is also subject to prosecution by the LA County District Attorney's Office for PCP and a kilo of cocaine. And he's a third strike in California, so he's looking at a life sentence. And as he explains in his book, as you've read, he has to make a decision as to whether or not I want to talk to these guys or I want to fight the charges, and I knew they had me on the charges. So he explains in his book the voluntariness of his decision to have this conversation. And at the time, the police actually think he's responsible for the Christopher Wallace murder. They are not there to interview him about Tupac. It's during that first meeting that he tells them, hey, I know something about Tupac. And then there is the second meeting that there is a recording of from December of 2018. That may be covered by some agreement between the federal government, the LAPD, and Mr. Davis, to which he can, by contract law, hold them liable for. The fact that Greg Kading, and that's why I say as a private citizen, later on released it to the public, is something that agreed to everybody who does this for a living, is something that just is it seems unfair to utilize it against them. Would you agree? And yeah. I think everybody in 2011 felt that way as well. But now you have to look at what the factual scenario is now. Imagine, if you will, that a defendant goes into a police station and he gives a statement to the police that gets suppressed, that's highly detailed about his involvement in a murder. And the court suppresses it. And the defendant walks outside the door and says, everything I said to the police is absolutely true, but because the police screwed up, the statement is suppressed against me. Wouldn't we be able to charge him with everything he told the police was true, and then use the statement to establish the context of everything I told the police was true? 100% we would. And so in 2019, when the defendant decides himself to write a book where he describes a factual scenario all the way through conversations he had with his lawyer, all the way through the decision making that went on in his mind, all the way through the fact that he gave a truthful statement, and then all the way through the fact that he is so mad at Greg Kading for doing him dirty and by releasing it and demanding consequences for him. At that point, when he says I told them the truth, it's the same as the defendant who walked outside the door with an inadmissible statement. Whether or not it's admissible in 2011 is irrelevant to your analysis. He adopts it in 2019 in a book. He himself adopts it. Yeah, we put some waiver arguments in there and everything else, and their position on the book is it's fiction. So we should be entitled to establish what he said in that book is true. He did wind up meeting with his lawyer. The cops did go to his garage and explain to him, hey, we've got you on all these. Your brother Kevin, we got him on it. The other person that they mentioned that he got, everything he says in that book is 100% true. And then he does go down to his lawyer's office, and the court can't possibly find that a proffer situation is inherently involuntary. You'll be saying every proffer is inherently involuntary. What you're saying is that there was not a promise followed, but we're not relying upon Greg Kading's releasing of this information in any way, shape, or form. Had Mr. Davis never opened his mouth, had he never decided to take money and go on BET and talk about this situation, had he decided to never write the book, he would not probably have ever been prosecuted for the crime. But once he decides to write that book in 2019 and describe this situation, we are entitled to prove up what he's saying is true, including what he says about the facts, the Lakewood Mall incident, the MGM incident, the shooting incident, the aftermath, Everything in there is now admissible because he chose to release it to the public. He chose to profit off of it. And therefore, whether or not Greg Kading violated the promise when he was a private citizen, it didn't change his agreement with the federal government. He becomes a confidential informant in March of 2009. He does these trips. None of that is covered by any sort of proffer agreement. What he's doing is, what the court knows, and I know Mr. Samp knows in federal court, he's trying to provide substantial assistance to law enforcement because he can either get a no prosecution on his PCP or his cocaine, or he can get a 5K departure on whatever sentence he ultimately gets from any prosecution that occurs from it. He's not promised no prosecution for the PCP within that proffer that you see. Tim Seawright says, I only gave him a proffer letter for one occasion. We're willing to accept that multiple proffers are acceptable. But at the end of the day, nothing about what Greg Kading did retroactively makes this an involuntary statement.
How do you intend to use the 2008 proffer?
I intend to establish the factual scenarios that he provides in his book. And what he says is, you know, my lawyer told me not to lie, so I didn't lie. And I told them the whole truth about Tupac. I had nothing to do with Biggie. And then I planned to actually play the recording of him saying exactly what happened, which is consistent with 2009, and then consistent with there's been no motion to exclude the fact of a proffer, nor the fact that he becomes a confidential informant. He flies to New York. He meets with Zip, which corroborates the fact that he knows Zip. There's a conversation where he tries to set Zip up on a drug deal. All of that, none of that's covered by the proffer in any way. The sole issue for the court is somehow Detective Kading in 2011, when he's a private citizen and decides to make money off something that was a confidential document of the task force, is released. But that fact is irrelevant to the analysis of the court on admissibility, particularly since in 2019, the defendant describes the entire situation himself, and he does to a certain extent in 2017 on those recordings with BET.
Okay. Mr. Stamps, anything further?
Yes, Your Honor. Just a couple of things just in response. I think the court's first initial impression upon reading and seeing the evidence that's been presented to the court is right. It does shock the conscience on some level when you have openly a discussion with a detective who says, yeah, we promised that we were going to prosecute him. And all of a sudden here we are now arguing and saying either we're not privy to that, we're not party to that, or in the alternative that my client sort of waived some type of protection, which doesn't make any sense to me either. I think it shocks the conscience. It's one of those things where you look back and take a step back and go, what? Like, you promised a man this and then you turn around and do this later. The other part of it too is, once again, going back to this idea of voluntary confessions under Arizona v. Fulminante. It's extreme caution. There's a danger here that if we do something like this, give this information to the jury, that they will turn around and say, well, so we just have his confession. His lawyer sitting next to him. He, had every opportunity to talk to his lawyer, blah, 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 blah. But what we haven't said is we don't have Miranda, we don't have any of the other things that would signal to Mr. Davis at the time that he's making the statements, that this is not one of those things where you just, frolicking through the tulips and at the end of the day, he's going to be okay. We are now in a position where we're saying, like, we want the confession to come in. The problem with the confession, once again, is it sort of puts us in a bad spot. Now, the question that the court might have in your mind is, what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is there's other evidence that the state has that they're going to present to say that, he's the guy that's there and he's the guy that's in the car and, whatever it is they want to use. But regarding this particular request, this doesn't knock the case out. All it does is it says, hey, this is too prejudicial. The probative value of the 2008 is far exceeded by the prejudicial effect in this case. And if we look at it from that viewpoint, we stay away from it. We don't get involved in it. We don't try to traipse in the middle. We don't clean up the mess that was made by other people in 2008. What we do instead, we say, look, we're going to move that off to the side. let the jury consider all the other evidence in the case to make their decision at the end of the day as to whether or not the state's met its burden beyond bail. And so as a result, like I said, I think we have to have extreme caution with regards to the statements that were made in 2008. And I think it would be, the most prudent position would be to exclude the 2008, 2009 statement.
All right, starting backwards. I think really no question on history ledger. I find that as admissible under NRS 51.035 subsection 3. It's clear that Mr. Davis adopted the statements there and is his own through publication, promotion, and subsequent ratification. In his interview to Vlad TV, once this book is his book, encourages people to buy it, get the real truth, and not from the law enforcement or industry people. He also repeatedly says it's something like the whole truth of the situation. So he's indicated to a reporter also on 10/21/23 that he wrote the book to let people know his truth. He's adopted its contents under NRS 51.035 subsection 3B. And then ultimately, when you look at the entirety of Mr. Shah's interview, it supports the factual content from the book was from Mr. Davis, and that Mr. Davis ultimately also got the manuscript and made no edits to the description of the murder that's found relevant for today. Ultimately, the arguments regarding what Mr. Shah's contributions to the book are, etc., goes to weight not admissibility of the book. I really find there is no legal argument to exclude the book. Working backwards, then I'm looking at what's in front of me. The motion is on voluntariness here, right? And so when I'm looking at voluntariness, I started this out saying, first I'm looking for is Miranda required, and then I'm looking to those Pasama factors. And so ultimately, a criminal defendant is deprived of due process if the conviction is based upon an involuntary confession, and voluntariness is determined under the totality of the circumstances, including the age, intelligence, custodial status, whether coercive police tactics overboard the will. When I look at Pasama, Dewey versus State, and then the Miranda decision itself. When we're looking at Miranda, it's only custodial interrogation. It doesn't require warnings where a defendant voluntarily provides information in a non-custodial setting. Statements offered against a party are admissible where they are the party's old statements or the parties manifested in adoption or belief in their truth. Neither required Miranda because neither ultimately were in a custody status setting. He was free to leave at all times, and in fact, he did leave for decades after these were stated. So I don't think the Miranda framework is the appropriate one here. Additionally, it's important to note that he was represented by counsel throughout, and that is really what Miranda is. Miranda is designed to protect from police infringement on a person's ability to protect against coercion, and that's what the attorney's entire job is. When I look at the Pasama factors that have been laid out, I don't think they apply here necessarily to establish involuntariness, really. If I apply that test, Mr. Davis passed with flying colors. I mean, this is a situation where he's an adult. He's not inexperienced in the criminal justice system. He has counsel present. He's expressly advised. He is not under arrest. He's not inexperienced, he's not uneducated, he's not isolated, he's not subject to prolonged detention, deprivation, or coercive text. I mean, he's invited to the situation. He comes to tell us the story to avoid the federal government's issue. So I don't find it that it's involuntary either. However, I do have problems with that 2008 interview, but I don't think that they were necessarily addressed in the framework that I'm given here. So I'm not necessarily saying it's admissible. I'm saying it's not involuntary at this time. So the motion is denied as written.
Thank you. Just as a matter of clarification of the court order, is this one of those things where we can redress this issue?
You can address it. I don't know what basis fits better, but it's not involuntary in this framework.
That's fine, Your Honor. And I do understand the court's ruling with regards to that. I'm just trying to figure out the timing and whether or not we can have the ability to redress it.
I don't really have a ton of guidance on what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the framework that you presented me with, it doesn't fit as an involuntary statement. Like, you are free to redress it as you see fit under the legal guidance. Gain evidence.
Your Honor, this is the state's motion. Looking at the defense response and talking to Mr. Sams, I think we largely agree that it's admissible for the purposes of motive. So there's a question. They took some issue with the purpose of identification, but we're not doing it as a modus operandi. It's more identification as Davis's role within the larger South Central Crips, why he was the person in leadership in order to issue those commands, why he had the ability to do that. That's what we were looking for in terms of identification.
Okay. Ultimately, gang information is gang affiliation evidence is a bad act, and there's generally some sort of bad acts, petrochelli type hearing, although it doesn't really take all the traditional contours of petrochelli hearing. But it seems as though Mr. Sanf is not requesting that. He's conceding that it could be necessary for, or that he concedes the evidence of the affiliation with the Southside Compton Crips, personal leadership role within that organization, the rivalry with Bob Puro and the Lakewood Mall and the MGM Grand incidents are probative of motive. And so it seems like we've passed the point where I thought we would need an evidentiary hearing. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. I
On
think
the
that,
clear and convincing of the gang evidence.
yes, Sean.
So what it then leaves out essentially is the state is not seeking for identity, and so it's really just for motive. And so we're at essentially is this a situation where you're seeking for any gang enhancement phase to be bifurcated from the guilt phase?
I think that's an agreement that we would have with the state with regards to that particular issue. The danger is the use of the word shock collar and then the use of the word green light. That's really where we're trying to get at.
Okay, so for you, your concern is those two terms.
Correct. I mean, those are terms that are associated with gang activity. And it's not just gang activity, but it's also associated with this idea of rank within the gang activity. Whether or not Mr. Davis was part of the Southside Crips, I think it's documented. He lives on the street in Burris in Compton. I mean, it's laid out. I think Detective Lab would be very clear about the fact that you move into a neighborhood and you're on a street, you become associated with that particular thing. I have a concern about the idea that now they're going to try to shoehorn in this idea that he's a shot caller just by the fact of just using the words and saying he was a shot caller.
What about his own words? At least the shot caller.
Once again, I think if the evidence comes out that way, I think that's one thing. But at this particular point, I don't believe that they have enough to at least say, hey, we can just throw it out there and make this a thing like in their openings or anything like that. I think during the course of the trial, if that becomes evidence, that's one thing.
Okay. Shot color and green light?
Yes, Your Honor. So by the court's ruling, the fact of green light is already coming in because it's specifically pulled from Mr. Davis's own words from his book. So, I mean, green light's already coming in. We have a good faith basis that it's coming in based on the court's ruling today. With regards to the shot caller, I mean, that is a term of art within gang hierarchy. The person who actually has the ability to direct orders on other people. And by the way, again, using Mr. Davis's own words from his book, he was a general. He was the president. He was the person that had the authority to make this happen. These are his own words. And so
excuse me, I said that shit when he was out there, when the defense lawyer was up there talking to her. I'm like, she don't look like she understand what the hell going on. So I don't know if she a substitute judge versus the hell. So I don't know if she a substitute judge or just versus, you know what I'm saying, somebody just up there, you know what I'm saying, listening. The judge just listening to the motion. She probably ain't gonna be the judge that was
Detective Black, when he comes here, him saying that yes, he was the shot caller. He was the person in that hierarchy that could order that retaliation is wholly appropriate given the context of gangs. Now, if the court wants me, I really don't know what I'm trying to work out what's the way to deal with that, other than to just say, we know Detective Glad testified to that based on his experience. It's the grand jury transcripts. That's where that's where this term is derived from. So, he describes himself in this manner.
And maybe what we do in the meantime, Your Honor, is we set this for a very short petrochelli hearing right before Detective Glad takes the stand. And we can make that determination at that particular point with regards to that issue, very narrowly construed just on the issue of the shot caller.
I think we can, okay, so the motion to admit gang evidence, it seems like it's largely not close, and so it's granted the state can use it for motive, to establish motive. Regarding the issue, the gang phase will be bifurcated. Regarding the issue of shot color and green light is within sort of the key sentence that
yes
is used, that Mr. Davis uses to describe the murder, the crime that he's charged with. So I don't think that can be excised from the case. It just doesn't make sense. The shot caller, we can do that brief evidentiary hearing and we'll hold out until the detective testifies in using that particular phrase. All right, State Brigade work. Anything further?
Just a little bit. I expect the Detective Mog's officer's report will be sent over by the end of the week to Mr. Sam. And I know it's a short week, so I really mean by Thursday. There were a few other items when I went through them. I didn't see anything. There was a couple of transcripts of a couple of audios that came through, and there was 2 audios. I think they're of random tips that came in to either Metro or LAPD. And so there'll be one last group of discovery sent over to Mr. Sam by the end of the week.
Okay. So it seems like discovery is on the way.
Yes. The only thing we still haven't received is the lab, but I expect that the lab notes, I think because they're so old, there's literally testing done in 1996, that I think there was some search that had to be done to find it, that we'll get on the underlying lab notes as well.
Yeah, there was a couple of things I think was mentioned in the last hearing with regards to discovery, conversations with Compton PD with regards to multiple other police reports that have not been disclosed. Are you talking about the same thing? Are those going to be disclosed as well? Other police reports in the last year?
No, that was 2 hearings ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe I sent it after that hearing. There was a day or 2 later that I completed all of the review of the Biggie Smalls murder file and sent over everything from that, as well as everything we have from the federal government 302s, the DEA 302s related to the drug transactions that we already discussed here in court today, as well as what we could find on confidential informants and any benefit they received in those prior investigations.
Thank you. And then just one final thing, Your Honor, with regards to transcripts, will we get a transcript of the hearing today?
Sure. Do you want to do a final status check trial readiness July 14th, or
We'll be here anyway.
leave it for calendar call?
We will be in here anyway, July 14th. I think we have a
Oh,
hearing
there was a
on
further
this
motion
issue.
eliminated that got set, so we can address anything else. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Is that your motion eliminate or six?
I think it's
Mr. Sams.
It's mine.
It's
Okay.
Mr. Sams.
All right, we'll see you back for your motion on 14th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We'll be in recess. Come on, guys.
I'm representing myself in what? I mean, I'm confused about what's actually going on.
I would ask you
He's
as far as
covered
the
up.
sentencing,
We done.
to grant me
Oh my goodness. Man, look, y'all. I don't know what's gonna go on or what's gonna happen with this Tupac shit, man. So listen, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, if that's something that y'all was into, man, back in the day, man, make sure y'all stay tuned. So I will be covering that, and you know what I'm saying? We'll be watching that and giving our breakdown and understanding of it. You feel me? It's gonna put me back on my put me back up on my law game. You feel me? Cause man, sitting there listening to all that bull. I ain't gonna even say that, but sitting there listening to the rhetoric between the defense and the prosecution and the judge, it can be confusing and frustrating at the same time, because it's like, what the fuck is you're like, what are they talking about? So yeah, man, we gonna be tapping in and tuning in and you know what I'm saying, seeing if we can get some justice for you know what I'm saying, Tupac Shakur. You feel me? You know what I'm saying, and breaking down that trial and that case. Also, we will be bringing you more about the Nolan Wells case, and I want to try to get into the young lady tonight, man, that was hung up in Mississippi, and a few other things as well, because those things are not getting national attention. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that every unaliving or every, you know what I'm saying, murder case or death, you know what I'm saying, has to get national attention. But, you know, when we have Nolan Wells just passing in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and now you have a young lady being unalive by hanging. You feel me? Don't get me wrong. She wasn't high up in a tree or nothing like that. Her hands were tied, looked like they were tied around her back or something like that. So it was kind of crazy, man. So, you know, I just want to try to, you know, shed some light and you know, report and give some things on that, and you know what I'm saying, get some of the people's, you know what I'm saying, feedback. So listen, man, we doing another broadcast to later on today, Manly Man Day, 9 p.m. Central Time to 11. It might be 9:30ish. You know what I'm saying? This one Monday Night Raw time. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So after wrestling go off, we will be going live. And speaking of wrestling, man, make sure y'all tap into Two Heels STS, where you get your 2, now 3, sometimes 4 favorite heels, man. We talk all things WWE, all PLEs, all Monday Night Raws, and all Friday Night SmackDown. So make sure y'all tap in with me, J-Dub, and little bro Nike fam. Also, man, if y'all still here in the building, man, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all share me out. And make sure y'all tap into my brother, man, TMB 4.4, the podcast. Make sure y'all go tap in and subscribe over there. You know what I'm saying? Man, listen, it was a treat. It was a time, you know what I'm saying, that I had with y'all. Man, now it's time for me to go get some lunch, walk the dog, you know what I'm saying, and do some other duties. You feel me? Big shout out to my youngin' yesterday. It was his 6th birthday, man. Big shout out to AJ. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out, you know what I'm saying, to my 2 twins today, Jeremiah, Joshua. You feel me? Today, their birthday. Also, man, big shout out to my little brother. My little brother, you know what I'm saying, his birthday is today as well. He passed, you know what I'm saying, due to sickle cell anemia. You feel me? So, man, just big shout outs and prayers and RIPs, you feel me? To my peoples and to myself, you feel me? But yeah, man, you know, I got my twins, got my little one, Leo gang. We in the building, man. We outside having fun. Man, live light, be great. You know what I'm saying? You know, feel great, look great, know you great. You feel me? Continue to do what you've been doing, man. Y'all know what it is, man. I'm gonna leave you like how I came to you before I get up out of here, man. Listen, let's keep everybody in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. Once again, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. And lastly, family, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. And don't forget to master these 5 key components of life. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And one last time, family, that's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And don't forget to eat for that thing, man, and sprinkle a little support on top, because a little support go a long, 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 long way, y'all. Y'all know what it is, man. All superheroes don't wear capes, but they still need their theme music. So to all my superheroes, all my Buildonians, and all my beautiful people, man, make sure y'all tap into them back in a little bit later on tonight for Manly Man Day, man. And with that being said, man, we out, man. Y'all know, same brown time, same brown channel. Y'all come brown now. You hear? Hey, peace.
Guys, 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 guys. My name is Cito. Guys, guys. You already know that, dog. This the hottest show you gon' find around. If young niggas ain't known, you need to ask around. This is bearded conversation. It's all love and no hate. Around here we good, but we aim to be great. Dip back in the debate, enjoy your Scooby snacks. Around here we just talk about this and all that. We talking real life, every day and every night. And if you need to clear the air, you can bring your wife. We got church on Sunday, that's on the west side. We got virtual reality, in case you're scared of outside. See, we got what you need, and that's a guarantee. The best thing about it is absolutely free. Bearded conversations, all love ain't no haters. Enjoy Scooby snacks, while we get back to the business. Don't matter if you black or white, who you think is wrong or who is right. These are just opinions I'm excited from a different walk of life. Yeah. See, my name is Cito. Hit that like button. Share, subscribe. Buy this man a coffee. Don't forget to lead over follow. Don't forget to love those that love you. And don't ever forget that you ain't never been richer than you are right now.
Like the video, man. Thumb up the video, man. Like the video, man. Thumb up the video, man.
Like he said, you feed me? Hey, man, y'all know what it is, man. Those that fuck with us. Those that don't, fuck with us anyway. And don't forget, y'all, when we come together, may we always meet on a level. Once we in each other's presence, may we always be humble and plumb. And when we leave each other's presence, may we always part on the square. Some more to be, some more to be, some more to be. So may it be, family. Peace, y'all, to later on at 9, man.